Welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming and a complete loss of wokeness. You have been warned.
All right, welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. I'm your host, Steve McRae. I'm the only host, and I have a couple of people with me tonight for your fun-filled entertainment and excitement, and hopefully a little bit of educational. We'll see. A lot of people have wanted this discussion to take place. We took a lot of pains and efforts to kind of make it happen. No, not really, but it's going to happen tonight. It's going to happen. We're going to get a discussion between the flat Earth debunking guru of all time, Reg Rhetoric, who's just got off from work, I believe, and is home now. I think he's home, right? He's home. You there?
I is at home. Yes.
Oh, you have a good mic. Yeah, your mic is solid, man. Okay, I could definitely hear you. Hopefully, the outside can hear you too. Okay.
I literally dropped this mic off my desk a few times. I mean, I beat the shit out of this thing. The fact it works is nothing short of a miracle.
It works well. No, it's a good mic. And on the other side of the non-flat Earth is Bev, I guess. Bev, try thinking, I believe his name is. Now, I don't know Bev that well. I know him from Twitter. I've talked to him on Twitter a few times. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with him. I think you have. But I guess, long story short, is a lot of people wanted Bev to come on, kind of explain his position with respect to round Earth, flat Earth, others eyes Earth, I don't know, and then kind of Red's kind of critique it. Is that kind of what was going on between the two of you? Because again, a lot of this was going on Twitter, and I was just kind of in between as kind of a host. So, Bev,
do you have a dumpster by you by any chance?
You know what? Fun fact. I don't think I even told you this, but we do have a dumpster where I work, and it actually was on fire the other day, like legit on fire. The fire.
Then you know exactly where I'm going with that.
I thought it was an ominous sign, for coming things.
Well, Steve, remember that letter that we got?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to go over it. We have to go over this. So
all right, do that for. Well, should at least Bev say hi first?
I mean,
hello.
Okay. Hi, perfect. Bev. Perfect. Hold that thought, Bev. Okay, we got to go over this. This is like
we got to go over this. So we actually got contacted by somebody. We got contacted by the CDC, the FBI, and the White House. And under federal law, I apparently have to tell you this. So there might be some side effects if you watch this. The government is aware of what we're going to be talking about this evening, and it is prudent that we tell you this. So if you were to stay here and watch this show, there may be some side effects. Now, side effects may include, but are not limited to, itchy skin, dry balls, spontaneous penis face growth, hangnail, hair loss, loss of eyesight, loss of eyes, bitter taste, gout, arthritis, lupus, migraines, high blood pressure, cramps, the shanks, blackheads, pimples, the painful variety, concussions, lacerations, uneven tire wear, scoliosis, ringworm, mesothelioma, lead poisoning, radiation sickness, kidney stones, type 1 and type 2 diabetes, inverted colon, bloody earwax, ingrown hairs, extremely poor gas mileage, colds, warts, sores, the bubonic plague, explosive diarrhea, and erectile dysfunction. You have been warned.
I just call it getting old.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. So what
Is that
Red's
your
trying to...
sponsorship deal?
What's that?
Is that a sponsorship deal you have?
It's close. It's close. It's a governmental warning because I don't want my subs and I don't want the people listening to be permanently damaged by any of this. So we just kind of give a warning to them that when they continue to listen after the fact, we're not responsible for anything that happens to you. Don't come back.
This is completely on them.
Yeah,
they've been warned.
Yeah, this is like the one chip challenge. You do you, but don't blame the people that make the one chip. The pepper. What is it? The Carolina Reaper. Yeah. All right, a couple things right off the bat. Taking the lead. Welcome to Initiate Level. Thank you. You got a cool green name. And he also gave us his $5 super chat. Already starting off the ball here with a $5 super chat. Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. So let's just dive into this. Reds, I'm going to let you kind of like run this a little bit as far as like the direction of this, because I don't know what the hell you want to talk with Bev about specifically, because I don't know what his argument is to even do any kind of proper critique on it. So... I don't know,
Bev. Do you actually have an argument?
Yeah, I thought that's what I came here for tonight.
Awesome.
Cool.
I thought that's what you were after.
Absolutely.
What you got for us?
Okie dokie. You want to the full lot, the whole thing, the argument, because I think there's been a bit of a confusion, right, as to what an actual argument is and what it's developed into. Especially within the debate arena, like you've seen the channels, haven't you? The big channels that we say called that have debate in their name.
Yes,
they're not really debates, are they? They're not real debates anyway.
Okay.
With arguments and stuff. So what they've changed an argument into is to shouting in between different people and shouting at each other. Well, that's not actually what an argument is. An argument in the old traditional sense is a structured set of statements placed together to cause the mind to reason a conclusion.
Agreed. Yes.
Okay. So that's what an actual argument is.
We all agree that what's an argument is a well-formed, structured, usually syllogism. You can have a syllogism. You can have a formal argument, informal argument, induction, deduction. But an argument is basically you're drawing a conclusion from some kind of inferences.
Okay. So that's what the argument is that I'm going to present. If that's what you're after,
we are.
I've tried to get it as simple as possible for you. So the first argument I'll give you is based on a Euclidean proposition that states two straight lines that are parallel to the same straight line will be parallel to each other. Right? That's a geometric proposition within Euclid.
Okay. Yes.
So based on that, we go to state that horizontal lines that are parallel to the same straight line would be parallel to each other. So we can say if all horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon, then all horizontals will be parallel to each other as a statement, right? A logical argument.
Well,
and from that, we can deduce that all horizontals are parallel to each other. They're all parallel.
Okay, so your argument is geometry.
No, the argument is that all horizontals being parallel to the plane of the horizon would necessitate all horizontals being parallel to each other. Like you can't have a horizontal intersecting with another horizontal. That's just not possible geometrically.
Okay, right. This is geometry. Yes, Euclid's postulates. Okay, so Rad, we're right now. We're just talking about math.
Go,
so math. Everybody agrees upon basic maths, and that Euclid's postulates are in non-Euclidean geometry work, or Euclidean geometry should work. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that have anything to do with the shape of the Earth? That's what we're here
It's
for.
not got anything to do with the shape of the Earth. No. I've never been about the shape of the Earth.
Okay.
That was made clear, right? But I mean, so a lot of people have said that particular statement that I say means a lot more than what it does, right? To me, it's just a simple statement that all the horizontals are parallel to the plane of the horizon. Therefore, all horizontals are parallel to each other. Now, we can go forward from that and state that all the horizontals being parallel is how surveying is done, differential leveling. And from that, using those techniques of all the horizontals being parallel, we can measure elevation changes of the land, thus making the land not flat. So the Earth is not flat, proved by the surveying techniques used that have the geometric understanding of all horizontals being parallel, based on the argument that I presented at the beginning.
Okay, Reds. Well, there you go. Earth is not flat. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, do you think you could use that one, Reds? Is that a good one?
Sure, why not? Sounds to me like you're saying that the Earth is flat, but you're not going to call yourself a flat earther because mountains are a thing. I don't think flat earthers assert that mountains aren't a thing or that hills aren't a thing. You know, elevation changes over land isn't a thing. I'm pretty sure they agree that that is indeed a thing.
No,
I said it's not flat.
He says not.
Did you not hear me?
He says it's not flat. So we all agree it's not flat.
Said it's not flat.
So there you go.
What's the overall shape of the Earth? Or would it be fair for me to say that, in your view, the Earth is flat, but it's flat with topography?
No, it's not flat.
But is it flat with topography?
The topography makes it not flat.
Yeah, but is it flat with topography?
That's what not flat is. We can measure the elevation changes to make sure it's definitely not flat.
Let's say you have no topological changes. Let's say that the Earth was completely smooth. There was no elevational changes whatsoever. Is the Earth flat then?
All points of equal elevation will lie on a horizontal plane.
It's a yes or no question.
As depicted by the auto level, like I just told you, that's how we measure elevation changes. With
if there is no elevation changes to be measured, once again, I think you've watched the show before. I'm not like Reds. I'm just straight. I just look, I direct. Here's a question. Simple answers, simple host. If there's no topological changes, where there's no elevational differences, so it's completely smooth. If the Earth was absolutely smooth, so there
zero elevation
changes, would the Earth be flat?
No.
Okay.
Because you'd be measuring it, wouldn't you, from a tool on a tripod?
Right, so no, it would be flat. So
there's an elevation change of the tool that you're measuring.
Well, no, you're
zero elevation change of the land.
You're bringing in the observation, which is irrelevant. So is there any curvature to the Earth at that point?
To level or the Earth? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Is there? There's zero curvature. There's zero, Steve. There's zero curvature to a horizontal plane.
Explain to him curvature, because I don't think he understands it.
Explain to him. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, curvature.
Go on, define it for us.
Sure.
You want me to define curvature? Okay,
yes,
so basically, like the ass cheeks of Queen Latifah, it is curving, as in it's not flat, it's not straight, has a bit of a bend to it. That little bit of bending can actually be measured, and we know how many degrees it will deviate over a set distance. So I believe the actual rate is 1 degree every 111.1 kilometers.
Okay, and I accept that. Bev, let me ask you: Can you define for us what's called parallel transport?
What?
Parallel transport.
What are you talking about?
Math.
What?
Math. Curvature. the definition of curvature involves what's called parallel transport, which is how you check to see if there's curvature topologically on any kind of manifold. Are you familiar with that at all?
He didn't say anything about parallel when he was talking about curvature. I asked him to define it. You said it was defined as that. You just changed the definition of what Red's just give us.
Well, I'm giving it mathematical more. You said you like math, right? So I'm giving you more mathematical definition.
I thought you said math.
Math. So in mathematics, if you want to check for a topological space on a manifold to see if there's curvature, you do a little thing called parallel transport using vectors. Have you ever had vector analysis?
Parallel vectors to make sure there's no curvature.
Yes. Have you ever?
Or the amount of curvature.
Correct.
In between the parallels.
Correct. It's called parallel transport. So you've never heard of this before?
No.
Okay.
Never needed to.
Okay. Well,
I have heard of differential leveling that has parallel horizontals. Is that the sort of thing? And you measure using the parallel horizontals, the elevation of the land.
Parallel transport.
And that way you can tell how much elevation changes there are.
For example, on a cylinder, if you did a parallel transport on a cylinder, there's no curvature. So cylinder should not have curvature.
A cylinder is a developable surface.
But a sphere has curvature because if you do the parallel transport,
a sphere is a non-developable surface.
So you agree that a sphere has curvature, but a cylinder does not have curvature.
A sphere is a surface of constant curvature.
And a cylinder
is a developable surface within mathematics.
So are you able to? Would you be able to show us how to do parallel transport on a sphere or a cylinder?
Why would I need to?
Okay, I'm going to take that.
I can show you. I can show you how to measure elevation in reality using an auto level.
Curvature is.
And
hang
on,
parallel
Steve.
horizontals.
Continue on.
Steve, if I may,
yes,
we're kind of getting away from the original question, so let me re-ask it, if I may.
Absolutely. Yeah, you and I have already explained what curvature is, I think.
Yeah, on the assumption that we were able to take a giant piece of sandpaper to the Earth's surface and smooth out all those inconvenient bumps and ridges that we call, mountains and hills and shit, would the resulting surface be perfectly flat?
Are you saying if you get some sandpaper and make it flat, will it be flat?
I'm saying magical sandpaper. We were able to smooth the surface. What would that leave us with?
Sandpaper, flat. Because I know what sandpaper is. It's like a two-dimensional thing with a load of grit on it.
Neato burrito. So so if we were to smooth out all the topography on the Earth's surface, what would that leave us?
If you were to smooth it out, I mean, are you talking about level being horizontal or not being horizontal? Is that what the issue is?
I'm not talking about horizontals or levels. I'm talking about smoothing out the topography. I think I'm being.
Well, I don't understand. Clear. Are you using a piece of sandpaper like a 6x4?
It's an analogy, dude.
Yeah, what's the sort of sandpaper? I mean, normally when you use sandpaper, you are trying to make something smooth.
Hang on.
Right?
That's what he's using it for. Yes, just make it smooth.
Steve,
yes.
Hang on 1 second. Bear with me for a sec.
Yeah.
Okay. That felt good.
That
anyway,
didn't sound good. That sounded painful.
So anyway, let's try this one more time. Whether we're sanding it with magical sandpaper or unicorn farts, it doesn't matter. The point is that we are going to take the surface of the Earth and we are going to smooth out the topography. So my question to you is, will the resulting surface in that hypothetical be flat?
Are you talking about leveling it?
No.
I'm talking about smoothing out the topography.
I don't know what that means. Can you show me?
Okay,
show me an example of smoothing out the topography.
Let's try it.
I haven't got a clue what it means.
Let's imagine I decided to completely flood the living shit out of the planet so that every single surface was covered with water. There was not one piece of dry land on it. Would the resulting, shape in that case of the water be perfectly flat? Or would it be, curving at a rate of 1 degree every 111 kilometers?
A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane.
I'm not talking about a water level.
As are all levels.
I wasn't talking about a water level, Bev.
I am.
I don't care what you're talking about. I asked the question first.
And thank you, taking the lead for another $5 sticker of hippos, hungry hippos.
So underneath that assumption, we covered the entire surface of the Earth in water. What would the resulting shape be? Would the surface be perfectly flat, or would there be some curvature to it?
Would all the water be at one level?
Sure.
Okay. Well, the water level is establishing a horizontal plane. That's what the tool does, the water level.
So it is your assertion then that if we covered the entire Earth in water, the resulting shape would be perfectly flat.
I'll say it again. A water level is a tool for establishing a horizontal.
I'm not talking
plane
about tools, Bev. You're misunderstanding my question. I shall ask again.
You're way misunderstanding what he's saying.
If we cover the entire...
Well, you said, it's all one level, and level is horizontal.
Now, does level mean flat to you?
Level means horizontal.
Does horizontal mean flat to you?
Horizontal means a horizontal plane. Now, do you not know what a horizontal plane is?
I'm asking you, is a horizontal plane flat?
No, a horizontal plane is a horizontal plane. It's a plane in the horizontal position.
What shape is a horizontal plane?
You know what a mathematical plane is? Do you know that?
What shape is a horizontal plane?
It's a plane.
What shape is a plane?
How about this? What's the dimensions of a plane?
Is it
one dimension, two
length,
dimension,
length,
one dimension
by width, or length by breadth, length and breadth?
Okay, so that's two dimensions. Okay, two dimensions.
Two dimensions.
All right,
yes.
so there's no height to an actual two-dimensional plane, correct?
No.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So what would be the shape of that plane?
To a two-dimensional plane.
Thank you, Amanda D. A new initiate. Thank you. Get a cool green name.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is the plane flat?
There's no curvature to a plane. You should know that. Mathematically, a 2D plane has no curvature to it.
So if you are to assert that the water is level, using your words, and level is that of a plane, your words, and plane has no curvature, your words, then you believe that the Earth is flat.
No, I don't believe that the Earth is flat. I know the Earth is not flat.
Again, we're smoothing out the topography by completely covering it with
I know
water here.
that level is horizontal.
And is horizontal flat to you?
Like, dude, horizontal is an orientation.
And is that orientation flat?
It's horizontal.
What is horizontal to you? Is it flat?
It's an orientation.
Is the orientation flat?
No, the orientation is horizontal.
So it's not curved, though.
There's definitely no curve in a horizontal. It's
okay, but it's a flat
line or plane.
So if there's no curve, then is it flat?
Oh, it's a plane.
Which is flat.
And is the plane flat?
Is the plane flat? What are you talking about?
I'm asking you if the plane's flat.
The plane is 2D.
Let's get a summation here. So we got taking the lead for another $2. Thank you, taking the lead. Amanda D for 20 Australian says, this is for Reds, for whatever therapy or headache medicine he may require at the end of this. Oh, that's an ongoing thing.
Is that what you were doing? Were you banging your head on the table?
That was his head. That was meeting his desk at probably half the velocity of what he normally would do. So I'm assuming it's probably going to get worse here.
Well, keep in mind, one of the side effects that I listed at the very beginning of the stream was migraine. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So
I did kind of warn people about this. So just putting that out there. So getting back to it, is the plane flat?
A plane's 2D.
All right. So the plane.
Surely you've got better rhetoric than this.
Well,
this 2D plane that you're referring to would be flat, correct?
No, it's 2D.
Yes, that's flat.
So
that's flat.
2D.
Flat is a visual surface.
Do you
think it's flat?
Do you know the idea of flatland?
Yeah,
where it was a two-dimensional world and it was called Flatland.
Yes, it's one of my favorite books.
It was. So, do you agree?
It's not real, is it?
But do you agree with calling it Flatland?
What? With the author that did it.
Yeah,
He can
Edwin,
call it whatever he wants.
Yeah.
His name was.
Would you say that was an appropriate
talking
name to
shapes.
give it?
The name of the book is actually Flatland: A Romance of Many Dimensions, and it was written by Edwin Abbott. It's one of the best books ever written. If you have an opportunity to read it, Bev, you may want to. It's seriously really
Free plug, free advertisement. So anyway,
love that book.
Yeah. So 2D is flat, correct?
2D is 2D, right?
2D is
in geometrically, it doesn't exist. 2D.
All right. So how about this? I got this one, Riz. Let me, Bev, is there any two-dimensional shapes that are not flat?
What? It's 2D.
So does it have any elevation to them? Do they have any width?
Length and breadth, 2D.
So they have no
2 dimensions.
All right, so they have no width or no height, I should say. It's actually height that's missing. But if you have a plane, that plane is perfectly smooth, right? It's flat. There's no
plane is 2D,
right? And there's no topological
it's a geometric
changes.
thing. It doesn't actually exist. It's a concept,
and there's no curvature to it, which means it's flat. Correct?
It's 2D. It's not flat. Flat exists in reality.
Wait, okay, Reds. Now it's your turn because I can't wrap my head around that. How do you have a two-dimensional plane that's not flat in Euclidean space? How does that work?
Yeah, please explain that to us.
I don't understand
you were
that.
handing it over to Reds
because my brain is broke at this point. I don't understand how you could possibly have a two-dimensional.
Your brain.
Yeah, I mean, because you're talking about Euclidean space, right? Or non-Euclidean. It really actually doesn't make much difference because
all space that we live in, all of us in reality, is 3D Euclidean space, right?
We live in non-Euclidean space.
We live in Euclidean 3-dimensional space.
That is actually incorrect. Yes, we have non-Euclidean curvature space-time because of gravity, but I don't know if you accept gravity.
It probably doesn't. Okay. Keep in mind.
Non-Euclidean.
Yes.
With that vertical
can you tell me
changes?
Can you tell me maybe the difference? What actually is?
How does it stop Euclidean?
What is it?
Free space being?
Bev. So for my audience here, so they don't get too confused. What is the difference between Euclidean and non-Euclidean geometry? Can you explain it to them so they can understand?
Euclidean geometry is a well-defined perfect axiomatic system that goes from definitions through the axioms and then through all the propositions, the proofs.
But what does that mean?
Non-Euclidean just isn't that.
No. Can you give a little more detail? I mean, like, for example, there's different types of space-time curvature. I don't know if you ever looked into relativity. Have you?
Looked into relativity.
So you have different types of the structures of the universe for local geometry. You have what's called hyperbolic. You can have flat, Euclidean, and then you have more.
Where's hyperbolic? No, just Euclidean.
Okay, but what's the difference between hyperbolic and Euclidean as opposed to like elliptic?
Well, Euclidean is the straight line distances that we all know and measure in reality.
It's a little bit simpler than that.
Let's try this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and present my screen because obviously I can just ask what is 2Ds, what is horizontal, and Bev is going to do everything in his fucking power to not see the word flat.
I was just showing his, I was just going over his.
I don't use the word flat. There's no need to use.
Oh, believe me, we know. We know that word, as you say, triggers the shit out of people.
This is his. I have this up on the screen, right? Because this is realizing Euclid, right? But if you want to present your thing, I can remove this real quick. Go ahead and present yours. But basically, Bev, Euclidean geometry just means that the parallel lines exist. Whenever you have two lines that are parallel that never intersect, you have Euclidean geometry. But since space-time is curved because of gravity, there is no point of space where there isn't some kind of curvature. So therefore, it's going to either be greater than 1 or less than 1. So it's either going to be slightly hyperbolic or slightly elliptical. But in a pure Euclidean space, you have two parallel lines that will never meet, but that will not happen in any other type of space because in a hyperbolic space they will diverge from each other, and in ecliptic they'll converge. Do you agree with that? Because that's just basic non-Euclidean stuff.
Yeah, you've heard of a square.
What I just say, is that correct? Does that make sense to you?
Have you heard of a square?
I have heard. Yeah, I mean, I have to go back to like second grade, so it's been a while, but I think I kind of remember what a square is. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you remember that the opposite sides are parallel?
Yeah, a square has 4 equal sides with 4 internal 90-degree angles. I actually wrote a paper called By Definition by using the example of what a sufficient and necessary conditions for a square would be. So, yeah.
So that's Euclidean then, right?
Okay, so
because those definitely exist, don't they? Squares.
But what we have here,
they don't actually, but that's a different debate.
They don't.
Yeah, that's a different debate.
Okay. He's got
what we have here is a line.
What do you think about Steve just telling you that those squares don't exist?
Neato burrito. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do here is let's make this green. I like the color green. You like the color green? I like the color green.
I love this. All
right, perfect.
Stuff.
So here's what we're
parallel lines those that you're using.
So hang on, Steve. I'm gonna ask you to do me a favor and shut the fuck up. So
I'm so excited. You're doing graphs.
Oh, I know. Graphs are so fucking sexy. I agree. So here's what we're going to do. If all horizontals are parallel, then am I
on that graph?
If I am, yeah, correct. Like they are on this graph. So if we accept that, that would also mean that all verticals are parallel as well. Correct?
Like they are on that graph.
Perfect. So let's say we're going to work in kilometers. Are you comfortable with kilometers or do you prefer miles?
You can use whatever unit you want.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and say, fuck it, we're going to work in kilometers. So if I were to be here at point F and I were to have a vertical line, let's look at this y-axis. That would be my vertical line. It would be 90 degrees to the horizontal, correct?
Yeah, that's what verticals are. Yeah.
Perfect. 90 degrees to the horizontal. All right. So now let's say we walk down 8 kilometers. If I were to make this, 90 degrees as well.
Yeah, I'm getting this for the outside, by the way. Just give me a second. They haven't seen it yet, but they will in 1 second. Don't worry, outside. I'm getting it for you. I'm on it. Don't worry.
Let me know. Hurry up, Steve. You're fucking this up.
I'm hurrying. You expect me to do multiple things at once.
Damn straight I do.
All right, go ahead. They can see it in 1 second.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another one. So let's go ahead and make this segment between here and there. Perfect. So that would mean that this vertical is parallel to this vertical, correct?
They're both perpendicular to the horizontal, right?
Yeah.
As defined, yeah. Okay,
correct.
Cool. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So now let's say I said, fuck it. Let's go down a little bit further. Let's, didn't mean to do that. Let me go ahead and fix that real quick. That was my bad. I apologize, people. All right. So let's go ahead and say, fuck it. We're going to go a little further down. Let's say to 17 kilometers down. So if I were to place another point, I don't know, maybe 17, 16, whatever kilometers down, and I were to make another line right here, it would be parallel to this one. And it would also be parallel to this one, correct?
Yeah, perpendicular to the same straight line.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So that would work, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to place a point right there. And we're going to make this one exactly the same, no different. So let's go 90 degrees clockwise. Boom. Let's go ahead and place a segment down between there and there. Beautiful. So now we have 3 lines here. We have this y-axis right here. We have this line, which is line G, and this line, which is line H. All 3 of them, relative to each other, are parallel, correct?
Yeah, they're all perpendicular to the same straight line. Yeah.
To the same straight line. Okay. Yeah. Now this straight line that we have here, would we be able to do this in reality, where in reality, if I were to actually go out, like let's say to the beach, and I were to step out into the surf, not very far, but enough to still stand up, hit the bottom, that kind of thing. And I were to go straight up, and would they be just like this, parallel to each other, 3 of them all together in reality?
Yeah, if you establish a horizontal, then you can be sure they're all perpendiculars to it. all perpendiculars to a plane will be parallel, right?
And so to be clear,
so you just establish a horizontal plane, and then all the perpendiculars to that horizontal plane will be parallel.
All right, perfect. So the question then is, can a horizontal plane be established? Thus, we get 3 parallel lines.
Yeah, of course it can.
It can. So what shape does that give us right here in green? Is that a flat line?
That's the horizontal axis, isn't it?
And it's flat, right?
On the graph. Yeah. Yeah, like
Thank
if you ever
you.
seen
We
any
finally did
elevation
it.
profiles.
We finally did it.
So that would mean the Earth is flat to you.
Finally.
No, that would mean that's how you display an elevation profile.
2.5 fucking months.
But Bev, I think you missed exactly what he's saying, because you disagreed with him that on the horizontal, right, orthogonal to the 3 lines, those 3 lines are perpendicular to each other because they're all 3 parallel to the green line, right? But the green line is 1 dimension, by the way. That green line is no elevational change. It's 1 dimensional. It has no elevational changes.
No, it'd be 0. That would be your 0.
No, 0.
And then all the elevations are measured on the verticals.
No, Bev. No, 0 means non-dimensional. 1 means 1 is a point.
You're 0 for your measurement.
No,
Mark.
My name's Steve. But look, in geometry, right? A dimension is literally what something you can measure, right?
It's a line.
Okay, a line has a single dimension. It only has length. It has no width. It has no depth. So it's 1 dimension. A plane has 2 because it has length times width. So all lines have 1 dimension. And in fact, this is why you should read Flatland, because it talks about this.
Yes.
So
hang on. 82 Productions in the chat. Yes, he finally admitted.
I think we're there. Yeah, I think we're there, Jared. Hang on, Jared. I think we're there. So the green line has no elevational changes, right? It's still on. Was that your negative?
It's a horizontal line with 0 elevation change all the way along.
Hang on, I'm not done answering the question. Is that origin 0? I can't read your numbers.
The origin is 0.
Okay,
yes.
So the origin 0. It doesn't go to 1, doesn't go to -1. It stays on 0.
Yes.
That means that line has no elevational changes, which means it's flat. Correct?
It's a line. It can't be flat, can it?
Well,
a line is not.
How is a line not flat? That clearly is flat. There's no elevational changes. There's no change.
1 dimensional. Flat, and like flat is a reality term. It's 3D, right? It exists in the 3 dimensions. Flat.
Let me ask you this: is there any curve to this line?
It's a horizontal.
It's a yes or no. Is
horizontals don't curve, right? There's no curve. Yes, Reds. There is no curvature to a horizontal line.
Since you agreed that we would be able to replicate this shit in reality, which by the way we couldn't, but since you said that we would be able to replicate
profile, Reds,
we would be able, because you said we would be able to replicate this shit in reality, and you're saying that in reality this line would not be curving in any way, shape, or form, then you, sir, are a flat earther.
I would agree.
We just finally solved it. I mean, it's been a while, but Bev, I'm happy for you to finally be open about your true self.
Are you sure you want to say that?
I think he's right. I mean, I don't see where his argument's wrong. I mean, you're talking about arguments, right?
All elevation profiles in reality apply this. All points on the horizontal
Bev, hang on a second.
On an equal elevation.
Bev, you talked about arguments.
Every elevation profile. Are you saying that?
Bev, he just gave you an argument.
He didn't say that that's
do you agree?
Reality.
Do you agree that anything that is non-curved is flat? Or can you give me an example of something that does not have curvature that is not flat? Can you give me an example?
Straight.
Just what? How does that answer my question? Give me an example of an object that has no curvature to it that is not flat, because flat means there is no curvature. They're synonymous.
You admitted, Bev, that there would be no curve to this line. That says everything, doesn't it?
It's a horizontal line. Have you never seen an elevation profile?
It's a non-curved line.
Apparently, Bev, if there
lines are
is
not
no
curved.
curve to this line, and you're saying that we would be able to replicate these findings in reality, what does that tell us about your position?
He's a flat earther.
Yeah,
I'm a realist.
Steve, why did you have to give it away?
I know
Sorry, I
how
was-
to
I got
measure
hit with a
elevation
punchline.
changes in reality. That's what it
Ele-
tells you.
Elevation changes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and take that on board. No, I'm actually glad that Bev said something like that. So let's go a little bit down. Let's say I went 22 kilometers, 21 kilometers, somewhere around there. Okay, let's go
Just
ahead.
change the scale.
So let's go ahead and go
Change the
up a
scale
mountain
on
a
it.
bit. Ooh, we're going to
Seems
go
you've
up a
already
mountain a
done that.
bit. So let's say, let's go
straight
up a
line.
mountain a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line going straight up, because why the fuck not? Let's make that a ray. Let's make this ray perfectly straight up and down. Beautiful. Okay, so with this line, be parallel to this line, which in turn would be parallel to this line, which in turn would be parallel to this line.
I don't know. What's your signifier for that line? You've just put a line in the middle of nowhere. What's it related to?
This would represent, this middle nowhere is actually going to be the altitude shift. So now we're about 4 kilometers up on this scale. So we're 4 miles above, the sea level, whatever, and like on top of a hill, on top of a mountain, shit like that. So if we are on top of this mountain and we were to measure straight up our zenith, would our resulting line of sight be parallel to this line, which would be parallel to this line, which would be parallel to this line?
It's on that graph. Is it on that vertical axis?
I'm pretty sure it's vertical, yes.
Okay.
I'm literally showing you the image.
Yeah, and I'm saying it's like, just to confirm, because if all of the verticals on that graph are obviously parallel,
okay,
and you've just drawn another line over one of the other lines that everyone can see are already parallel. Like,
so if I went to the top of a mountain and drew my line straight up at my zenith, and then I went all the way down to sea level, like let's say, I don't know, 30 kilometers away, and I drew another line going straight up again, would those two lines be parallel in reality?
Dude, I've not got a clue what you're talking about now. Are you talking about this graph? Are you just drawing some more lines on your graph that are parallel?
Okay. I will explain again, but this time using pretty pictures. So what I'm going to do to try and make it easier to understand, I didn't know this shit was going to be so fucking complicated, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Okay.
You're drawing vertical lines.
This is MS Paint. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the mountain green. Let's go ahead and make the mountain green. Do you like green? I like green. So let's go ahead and put a
triangle.
Fucking mountain there. There you go. This triangle will be a mountain. Now let's go ahead and say that
180 degrees, right?
Let's say that I'm going to be this red guy, because I'm red's rhetoric, because why the fuck not? So I'm going to make a measurement from here at the top of the mountain. I make my vertical, draw a line straight up into the fucking air. Let's say it was a laser pointer that was perfectly straight up. And then I do this. I'm going to trace my path for you. I go do 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 do.
I'm so not high enough for this. Somebody said. I get
Steve.
you. I get it. I'm sorry.
Steve.
Okay.
I'm not done yet.
I know.
Why did you come?
I am not done yet. I'm not done yet, Steve. All right, and I go down to here, and I look at this line again. When I was up here on top of this mountain and fired my laser straight up, and I went down here to sea level and fired another laser going straight up, would this fucking thing be parallel to this fucking thing? Yes or no?
On the verticals, yeah.
Okay, then what the fuck does that tell us about your position?
He's a flat earther.
Thank you. Holy shit, we had to break up
perpendiculars to a horizontal.
Why would the topological in the space between? Why would anything changes in elevation have anything to do with the two parallel lines, which are clearly both orthogonal to the green line? Why would that even matter? It has no relevancy whatsoever.
The elevation is measured on a vertical datum, right? It's called that. It's called the vertical datum.
This is why,
quite obviously, the height of that mountain is measured on a vertical, right? You know the height of it because it's on that vertical scale. Like you've got the picture there. All elevation profiles are on paper like that, with horizontals having the same elevation.
Yeah, but Bev, this is exactly why I said you're a flat earther.
Every one of them. Well, everybody that's ever drawn an elevation profile must be also.
Because you bring up mountains as if that's relevant, or hills as if that's relevant.
No, we're talking about the horizontal being straight.
I'm talking about the verticals, and you said that the verticals are all parallel to each other, regardless how far we space them apart. So basically, we can have a vertical here, we can have a vertical here, we can have a vertical here, we can have a vertical that's measured on top of a fucking mountain 21 kilometers away. It wouldn't fucking matter. They would all be parallel to each other. And you agreed earlier that this line that I'm underlining right here had no curvature to it, which represents the surface of the earth in this example, which means you agree that the earth is flat.
All horizontals are parallel, just like in that graph there that you've got. So the person that drew that graph must also be.
So you're a flat earther. Okay, cool. I'm glad we established
the person that drew that graph. Obviously, mathematics must also be a flat earther then, under your standards.
I'm not the one that's...
You've just made yourself into a tiny little group, Reds.
Oh dear, sorry. Except that if you remember correctly what I said about these verticals, do you remember, or should I repeat?
Perpendicular.
No. So I should repeat. I said it is your claim. It is your claim that this line, this line, this line, and this line would all be parallel to each other in reality. My assertion is that is complete bullshit.
But they are verticals within mathematics.
Vertical does not mean parallel.
Of course it
You are confusing two separate words, and you are trying to make them equivalent to each other. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that.
What, there's two different verticals?
Two different verticals? No, there's only one definition of vertical, which is straight up from the surface. However, that surface can be curved. And you can still have
but you can't have a perpendicular to a curve.
Sure
you have perpendicular is
wait, what?
Relationship between
Let's go ahead and bring up GeoGebra again.
What? Did you wait? I gotta make sure I heard him correctly. I'm sorry. Bev, did you just say you can't have a perpendicular to a curve?
Yeah, perpendicular is relationship between two straight lines.
So the so like the North Pole
is defined that way.
So it's like the North Pole is not perpendicular to the Earth. Like if you take a diameter across the Earth, you just like split it completely in half with a chord that has 2 points that intersect on the sphere that extend outward. You're telling me that is not those points that extend out are not orthogonal to the sphere? I legit, is that what you're saying? Because that makes no sense.
Well, I don't know. You just made that up. I'm just saying perpendicular.
No, I really didn't.
Perpendicular is defined.
Do you know what a chord is or diameter?
As being two straight lines,
but
at right angles to each other.
Hey Bev, quick question. I have here two lines. What's the angle? What's this angle right here?
What?
What's the angle between those two orthogonal lines?
I don't know. It doesn't look. They don't look. Are you sure you've drawn that right?
Yes.
The axes, x and y axis, they're perpendicular.
All right, so they're perpendicular to each other.
Which means what angle? What angle means perpendicular?
It's right angles.
Okay,
how many degrees is a right angle?
Right, because right means straight.
Okay, so these lines are at right angles to each other.
But what degree is that?
That's what perpendicular means.
Okay, hang on, Steve. I need you to do me a favor. I know you want to, but please shut the fuck
it
up.
Hurts, Red. Make it stop.
I know. Fuck. Let me work here.
Hold me.
You're ruining
Jackass.
it for him,
Anyway.
Steve. He's in a roll.
So Bev, these lines being 90 degrees. So if these lines are 9 degrees, well, actually just state the fact, these lines are 90 degrees. Let's just establish that first before we move on to the next point. These lines are 9 degrees.
Yeah, perpendicular is what we call it in geometry.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Oh shit. Shit, what the fuck's going on with that?
Whoa, wait, whoa.
Oh shit,
wow,
hang on. Hang on. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
That kind of looks like a circle.
Shit.
That looks like a circle to me.
Fuck. That's hot.
I was talking about the X and Y axis. And your lines, obviously.
Oh man. That was good.
I'm just still wrapping my head around why you can't have a parallel line to a curved surface. That makes no sense. It intersects at one point. At the point of intersection, that is the point by which you have a orthogonal relationship. So this is exactly why anything that sticks out of a sphere, like a rocket that's going straight up through the vertical, is literally vertical to the sphere. I don't know why you think otherwise. This is weird to me.
Yeah, you can. So basically,
you can't have perpendicular to a curve.
Globe,
it's the relationship between two straight lines.
if I'm standing on the surface of a globe and I look straight up at my zenith, my zenith will be straight up. So it will be literally vertical.
Vertical. Yeah.
Yes, correct. On a globe, because we are on a globe. I know you may not think that because you're a flat earther, but we are indeed on a globe.
I'm not a flat earther.
Oh, you can keep telling people that, but we all know you're full of shit. So if
that just shows you how I can prove it's not flat.
Yeah, because mountains are a thing, right?
No. No, because we use parallel horizontals to measure a vertical change. We call that an elevation change. That elevation change means we go into 3 dimensions, i.e.
if those verticals
not flat.
If those verticals are parallel to each other, that exposes you as a flat earther.
Horizontals are parallel.
You do know this, right?
All horizontals are parallel.
And all verticals are at 90 degrees to that horizontal, right?
They're perpendicular, yes. That's the relationship between verticals and horizontals.
And that would make you a flat earther by definition.
Just like that mathematical graph that you just had.
Yep. So basically, if we were to say that mathematical graph with the perfectly flat line that I
horizontals and verticals, the X and
that
Y
I put on the
everybody knows,
the X-axis for you. If the surface of the Earth was like that X-axis.
Reality is Euclidean.
What we would have as a result is verticals being parallel to each other, no matter how far down the axis we actually go. Therefore, you, sir, are a flat earther.
And by the way,
you just exposed it with your own definition.
Bev, I think one fundamental error you have is reality is non-Euclidean. Space is non-Euclidean. The reality we
and the
live
Earth isn't fucking
is
flat.
non-Euclidean. There's no such thing as Euclidean space in actual space-time. It cannot happen because gravity exists. It's a thing. So therefore, all space-time has some degree of curvature to it.
When we look at, for example, the equatorial telescope mounts, the equatorial telescope mount tells us that not all verticals are parallel because we're dealing with a curved surface.
Who tells you that?
If we actually try,
who told you that verticals aren't parallel? Who told you that?
Geometry did.
No, geometry tells you that the verticals are parallel.
No, it doesn't. Reality,
perpendicular to horizontal, necessarily makes a grid formation, like you've just shown us on your
Bev. Do you think reality,
mathematical grid?
Bev, do you think reality has to conform itself to your expectations?
I know that horizontal is a straight line.
That's another yes or no
and
question.
I know
I'm not getting an answer
that
to.
all perpendiculars to that horizontal will be parallel.
That's all great, Bev, but I can't help but notice that you didn't answer my question. You're really good at that. Let's try this one more time. Do you think reality is under any obligation to conform itself to your expectations?
I think, or no, because I've actually used it. Reality is 3D Euclidean and can be defined as such geometrically.
It's not.
I can't help but notice that you didn't answer my question again.
And got it wrong.
Straight line measurements. Everybody uses them.
And what he said was completely
so
wrong.
let's try this. Let's try this for a third time. Do you think? And how about this? For simplicity, just answer with a yes or no. Do you believe that reality has to conform itself to your expectations?
Say no, Bev. Just come on, do it.
I'm not answering a do you believe.
It's not a complicated question. You either believe or you don't believe. It's no middle ground there. I'm sure you're familiar with the law of middle.
Guess you don't know me because I don't really believe many things. I like to know as much as I can.
You can't,
and where I can't,
you can't
know, then I
Bev, you can't
go
know
with
epoche. Bev, you
right?
can't. Bev, in modern epistemology, you can't know something unless you believe it. But be that as may, first of all, the universe is not three-dimensional. It's four-dimensional. It's 3 dimensions plus 1 time dimension called Minkowski space. Well, actually, Minkowski space is 4 dimensions. I mean, Neo-Lorentzian would be 3 dimensions plus 1, correct? So do you tend to think that the universe is only 3 dimensions without a temporal component?
I only use the 3 of Euclidean for measuring.
It's not Euclidean. The universe is
very practical with my uses of geometry, practical geometry, where we measure straight line distances, vertical and horizontal.
Bev, the universe is non-Euclidean. This is fundamental basic science.
I live in Euclidean 3 space.
Then you don't live in reality.
We talk all the time about realizing Euclid,
yes.
But for some reason we stopped at realizing Newton and fucking Kepler.
Yeah, so Einstein put a damper
Newton
on
used Euclid.
Do you know who Einstein?
Yeah, and Newton also understood gravity. So let's try this one more time. So, do you believe that reality is under any obligation to conform itself to your expectations?
Reality is reality. There's only one reality. Does it have any
obligation to you in particular?
No. Right?
No.
Obviously
not.
That's
all you had to say. That's all you had to say. So, if it is
does it have any obligation to you?
Absolutely not, which is why I allow reality.
Just the same then. We're all the same. Good.
Yeah, but except you seem to be imposing on reality a bit. See, I allow reality to speak for itself. And so when you ask me who told you that, reality is what told me that. Geometry, the way it works in reality, told me that.
Like
in that if you were to go out into the field with an equatorial telescope mount and do the North Celestial Pole observation, if you try to attribute that to a flat surface, like what we drew in that graph, it would render contradictory answers. You do realize that, right, Bev?
What about pi? How do you go with that? Because I bet that's got to be troublesome for you, right?
Why is pi troublesome?
Because pi is the relationship of a diameter to the circumference of a circle, and that is obviously Euclidean, because that diameter is a straight line.
How does that
sort of
proves what I just said?
That we have at least 2-dimensional circles, so we do have Euclidean
that
geometry there.
Does nothing to debunk what I just said, Bev. That literally does nothing. I mean, hey, Steve, what's the name of this show again?
The Non-Sequitur Show, and this is why it's called this, because this is.
I mean, fuck me.
This is one non sequitur.
We're going to bring up.
It just makes no sense. I mean,
no, you were the one that just said we don't live in Euclidean 3 space.
Correct.
When everybody knows that we do.
Nobody knows this. Nobody thinks this.
And that would be sort of
gaslighted.
No, Bev, we're not being gaslighted. Have you taken any physics courses?
No, you're trying to gaslight your audience.
I am not trying to gaslight you. This is relativity. There's a guy named Einstein.
No, your audience. You're not gaslighting.
No, the audience knows this. My audience is generally not stupid.
So 81% on the vote. Let me say. So the vote was a question: is Bev a flat earther? 81% said yes.
With
Neato.
68.
So
68 polled. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a poll in the live chat. So the So the question, does reality have any obligation to conform itself to your expectations? You answered no, which is the correct answer. So I'll give you credit there. Congratulations. But that would also mean that reality has the right to speak for itself. It doesn't need to conform itself to your expectations or my expectations. And when we go out into reality and do some basic observations, like, for example, what I mentioned previously with the equatorial telescope mount, we see that not all verticals are parallel with the surface that we get. It actually turns out that that is indeed not the case because we lived on a curved Earth.
Right. Matter of fact, Bev, I don't think you've ever heard of this, but you brought up pi, right? And yes, I do know what pi is. I memorized pi to like the 20th place when I was a kid. 3.1415926535279. Yes, I know what pi is. Now, so let me explain to you this real quick. Do you know what a spherical defect is? Have you heard that term before?
A defect?
No, spherical defect. Because spherical defect actually uses
no, I'm not into spheres.
Okay, well, because we don't
not surprisingly, I'm not obsessed with it.
Okay,
yeah, no shit.
Because the universe is curved, because what's called gravity, and when you
I only live in a little bit in England, right? I only know what I know, this little tiny bit.
Look, you can cut Reds off, but you can't cut me off because I actually own the show. So let me finish what I'm going to say, then you can I'll have the opportunity to respond.
You own it.
So spherical defect is a mathematical relationship when you take 2 times pi, and then you substitute the coefficients for a triangle, which is A, B, and C. Okay, so if you have a triangle that has 3 components to it, you have the hypothesis, you have the length, you have the height. So you have A, B, and C. Now on a sphere,
hypothesis. Are you sure?
Hypotenuse.
Go with that one.
Hypotenuse. So when you have the A, B, and C on a sphere. Because it's you can. It's called spherical triangle.
No.
Okay,
triangles have three sides.
Let me finish you, and then you respond. It's called a spherical triangle. Look it up.
You will go on. You will definitely have a definition within your geometry that you're talking about.
On a spherical, this is called non-Euclidean geometry, which I don't think you ever took.
Show us the definition of a triangle.
You can look it up. My audience could
there isn't one.
Okay, so
you'll not find one.
I'm sure you can find spherical triangle.
Not in the definition.
Go to probably
within the geometry of non-Euclidean geometry. Look up. Trying to find the definitions, the axioms, and then the propositions to go along with it.
Okay, let me look this up for you real quick. Spherical triangle. Dun, dun, dun.
Way ahead of you, Steve. I'm gonna screen share.
Oh, here we go. From Math World, spherical triangle. Oh, look at this spherical defect. Oh, look at this. Oh, you're not. Are you screen sharing?
I will screen share
because I'm looking.
This is what I got in Google Images. Look at that spherical triangle.
Look up spherical defect in Wolfram Math World.
Oh, the website.
I've just pulled it up. Yeah.
All right, sure. Let me grab it.
Go to Wolfram Math World and go to spherical defects.
You're not going to be telling people that triangles have more than 180 degrees.
They do on a sphere, yes, they absolutely do. That's what's called.
Yes, but triangles only have 180 degrees.
Not in non-Euclidean geometry. In Euclidean geometry, yes, but in non-Euclidean, it has greater than 180. And that's called your spherical defect.
But like in reality, triangles that we measure. Triangles in reality only have 180.
No, Bev, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. When we measure triangles in reality to get a slope angle.
Hey, Bev.
Elevation.
I'm going to test your reading abilities real quick. I highlighted just a portion here. Can you please read that highlighted portion?
What? No, you can read it yourself.
Can you please read it for me?
No, I'll be all right. You go. Off you go. Steve.
I'll read it. The sum of angles of a spherical triangle is between pi and 3 pi radians, which is 180 degrees to 540 degrees. The amount of which exceeds 180 degree is called the spherical excess and denoted as E or delta. It's actually spherical excess or spherical defect because one's related to the arc, but it's basically their relationship to each other.
Spherical defect right here.
Yeah. So the excess, let's say that you're on a curve. So let's say it goes to 181 degrees. That 1 degree is called spherical excess, right? And if you're less than that, that's going to be a spherical defect. But they're both going to be
That's
on
not
non-Euclidean
measured
space.
in reality. They don't do that in reality.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
That's actually they do.
No, they don't. You can't measure more than 180.
Remember, Bev. Remember what we said earlier, Bev. Reality is under no obligation to conform itself to your distorted.
Yeah, but in reality, triangles don't have more than 180.
Well, wait for you to speak for reality there and be completely wrong at the exact same time.
See, Bev, there's something in relativity called a geodesic path. And a geodesic path is the two shortest points a length between two shortest points in space-time. So when light goes through space,
that's a straight line, though, right?
No, it's not a straight line. It's actually a curved line. Light bends in space.
The shortest distance between 2 points, or the shortest path between 2 points, that which lies evenly between those 2 points, is a straight line.
But in the universe, there's no such thing as a flat space-time. It's actually curved to some degree. Now, local space-time is flat.
But there is a straight, right?
Do you know why light bends in space? Like, for example, have you ever seen the experiment where they will look at a star that is behind the sun, and when the sun gets eclipsed, the sun actually looks like it's at a different position. It bends position of the sun.
There is a straight
of the star,
though, right?
No. Listen though. Have you ever seen that done? Have you ever seen that experiment where they see a star that's actually behind the sun, but during the eclipse you can see it next to the sun because the light is being bent around the sun. Same thing that happens around a black hole, or it's called an Einstein cross. Have you seen any picture of light bending, or do you like bend doesn't bend?
Well, I know straight lines, right? You can't tell the bend or the curve without the straight line, and straight lines obviously exist.
But in relativity, the shortest distance between 2 points is actually a curve.
How can it be?
Because it's physics.
In reality, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Bev, we agree that lines exist, but what we're saying is that the Earth's surface is not flat like that line.
It's a curve.
The Earth's surface is curved. It has always been curved.
About
it will forever be curved.
Shortest distance between 2 points, Steve was talking about.
In the
universe.
It's a geodesic curve.
Talking about lights behind the sun.
So have you never heard of relativity in your life?
How was he talking about the surface of the Earth?
Bev, answer the question.
Bev, have you ever heard of relativity?
This Bev is called gravitational lensing.
Yes.
Please look it the fuck up.
You've never heard of gravitational lensing?
Right, so that's a straight. Where's the straight line?
The straight line. The straight line.
Oh, look. Here's a nice illustration.
Are you talking about the surface of the Earth now when you're talking about this?
Sure.
What are you talking about?
We're
talking about straight lines.
Gravitational lensing is caused by gravity in space, curving space-time. So in order for light to travel through space-time, it has to go through the manifold of space-time, which is curved, which, by the way, means it is not a straight line. It cannot go a direction that doesn't exist. So it has to curve in relationship to the space-time fabric. Matter of fact,
talking about horizontals and verticals in reality.
If you bring up a Minkowski diagram, Reds, this would show everybody in the audience, using a simple Minkowski diagram, that light will curve in the presence of a gravitational field.
Yep, that's correct. But
keep
this in mind. Keep this in mind, Bev. While we're going over this, I will also, and please don't fucking hate me on this, but yes, I will agree with Bev on one thing, that we are having two separate conversations at the exact same fucking time. It's just that, Bev, the reason why we're doing that is because you are what we like to call fractally wrong, where we can go in many different directions to explain why you're wrong. And it kind of gets a little difficult to keep on track. So I will apologize for that. So I will stick to 1 point and 1 point only. And that point is this, is that when we try to make observations in reality and conform those observations, brute force it, if you will, to an Earth which has a flat surface with topography, of course, the results that we get lead to contradictory answers. And I would like to know why you think that is. And I'll give you a specific example.
We all know you can't have contradictions, right?
In reality,
there's no such thing as a paradox in reality, is there?
Contradictory entities do not exist, correct?
There are no such thing as a paradox in reality, right?
I don't agree with that.
Oh,
there actually is
acceptable paradoxes.
Well, there is actually a hypothesis for that. Actually, Hawking came up with that postulate that
I believe that goes on the extremes, like around black holes, like Stephen Hawking's black hole theory, but not getting into that right now. What I'm basically trying to say, just keeping it local to the Earth, so not around the gravitational field of a fucking supermassive black hole. We're talking about a basic observation. My observation is this. I look at the North Celestial Pole, and then I also look at the Southern Celestial Pole and realize there's two different pole stars in which the stars rotate, one in the north, one in the south. That doesn't make sense with the surface of the Earth being flat. Would you agree?
Can you look at both of them?
Could I look at both of them?
No, you say you do look at both of them. I'm saying, like, do you do that regularly?
If I look, I can look north because I'm in.
Okay, I thought you said you can.
Yeah, I can if I booked a flight, but
no, I thought you meant from where you were. I thought that might be. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So I guess I just misunderstood what you said.
So the question is, why do we have two pole stars in which the stars rotate if the Earth is flat?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. All right, let's try a different one. Let's stick with the northern hemisphere and only use the North Celestial Pole. If I use an equatorial telescope mount and measure the altitude angle of the North Celestial Pole, and then I continuously move north, making measurements along the way, and then I plot those measurements out on a flat plane, I will get contradictory answers for not just the direction of Polaris, but also the position of Polaris.
You mean for elevation?
What?
Elevation.
Elevation angle.
Right, yeah, but you measuring angles across the ground, right?
Correct.
Now, each of those angles, is that a straight line between the two?
If we plot it on a flat Earth, it would be a straight line between them.
No, but would you measure it as a straight line in reality?
In reality, no, because the Earth is round. But if we brute force it
from a distance from A to B,
if you're
measuring that distance from A to B,
if we brute force it, Bev,
would that be on a horizontal?
If we brute force it, Bev, and plot those angles on a flat Earth, do you realize it renders contradictory answers?
When you measure the distance from A to B, do you measure a straight line distance along a horizontal?
No, I measure a straight line distance between the two. It's per the direction of travel. So if
all distances are measured horizontally, right?
Dude, you know what I mean when I'm driving. I drive between the 2 points.
Like when you actually measure distances in reality,
and when we
you
measure
have to get them horizontal
the 2 points,
distances.
and then we look at the angle of the northern celestial pole, and we plot it all the way up the continental United States. Did you know that we get contradictory answers? And I want you to answer why you believe that is.
I'm still trying to work out at the base when you start measuring and you measure a distance.
From point A, I drive to point B.
Yeah, and that's a straight line.
I drive.
Or is there an elevation change? Is there a slope down, a slope up? Are you going up a hill a bit or what?
No.
We want to know where the shortest distance is. Between those 2 points.
Let's say I do, Bev. Whatever makes the most sense to you. I drive directly between point A and point B, as directly as I possibly can.
You don't care about the elevation or whether it's the shortest distance.
As I'm going up the continental United States,
and you have the shortest distance like Steve
along the way, would I be getting contradictory answers? Well, as we plot out the lines, the answer is yes. I want to know why that is.
Let's use us as an example. I live in California. I'm at sea level where I'm at, like literally almost at sea level. You're almost at sea level because you're flat Florida. There's no a millimeter is considered to be a nosebleed where you're at. So
our highest point is an overpass.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous how flat Florida really is. It's flatter than Kansas. So we're at so he and I are at the same sea level elevation. Okay, so Polaris, with respect to me, I know exactly what Polaris is every single night. I could walk out my door right now and I go literally point directly at Polaris, sight unseen, because it's circumpolar and it stays in the same position. He could do the same thing, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so use that as an example. I'm A, he's B. Okay. Polaris is out there.
Okay, without looking up, A and B, the shortest distance between those 2 points, is that a straight line or is it a curved line?
On the surface of the Earth?
Depends on the model in which you plot it.
Yeah.
No, this just the shortest distance between those 2 points. Is it a straight line or a curved line? Because I would say the shortest distance between those 2 points is what you would call a horizontal line, and it would be straight.
Again, if I'm doing the
as
measurement
measured
on a
in
curved
reality,
Earth, I would have to follow the surface of the Earth. So it would be curved in that respect. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm driving straight there. So the question, once again, Bev, which I know you're avoiding.
When you say you're driving straight along your curve, would you call that horizontal? If we don't get an answer to this question, I will continuously re-ask until we actually get an answer. So we may be here for hours. I just hope you're ready for that. So the question, once again, is that if I were to look at the northern celestial pole with an equatorial telescope mount, and I started in Florida, drove my happy ass all the way up to continental United States, taking measurements along the way, and I were to plot those elevation angles on a flat Earth, I would get contradictory answers. But if I plot them on a globe, we don't get contradictory answers. And I just want your opinion as to why that is. I don't understand you and what you understand as a straight line. You seem lost.
I guess we'll have to bring
confused.
up pretty pictures again.
Yeah, actually,
no, I'm just trying to establish, right?
Our elevations are different, but
let me establish this, right? If the shortest distance between those 2 points was curved, then the shorter distance would be the straight line. So you would have a shorter distance than the shortest distance, which is very contradictory. You've said that doesn't exist. So where would the horizontal be in relation to your shortest distance?
So Bev, I've once again
in reality
broke out the crayons for you. So let's go ahead and look at this graph. This is on a video that I previously made.
Use your location and the North Pole, because that's perfect. Because you and I are almost, we're
this point right here,
we're at different longitudes,
one
but
better.
not
full screen it for you.
A lot. So use an exceptional amount of difference between 0 degree and where you're at in Florida.
So what we have here is a couple cities: Alice, Texas; Bush Springs, Oklahoma; Hutchinson, Kansas; Mitchell, South Dakota; Walhalla, North Dakota, and this is the North Pole. These are my observed elevation angles for the northern celestial pole. Now, if I were to plot these on a flat Earth, which is right here, don't you see I have different crossovers and different directions for where the pole star Polaris would be located? Do you see that on this graph?
I can see that it looks like a mess.
Yeah, it does look like a mess. I completely 100% fucking agree with you
that
there.
As well.
I fucking agree with you there. It looks like an
these
absolute
are not real world
Show.
observations.
I mean, this
who did
like
that, Reds? Was that you? Did you do that?
It looks like absolute.
Did you do
ass.
that, Reds?
So, question:
did you do
would
that?
I be able to place
the pole
star here,
did that.
or would I be able to place the pole star here? Which one would be the location?
You could do whatever you wanted, couldn't you? It's your imagination.
Yeah, so
it's your drawing.
I could have it here.
Yeah,
I could have it here.
those lines wherever, yeah.
Yeah, wherever it crosses over could be a possible location for the pole star Polaris.
Did you think about bending the straight line? Did you try that? What about that?
Bending the straight line to conform to the curvature of the Earth?
I think no, bending the straight line. That's what Steve was suggesting earlier.
You know what? That's a good idea. Let's bend that shit to make a round.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that.
It works.
They fucking works.
What if you bend?
It doesn't look like a fucking mess, doesn't it?
What if you bent the straight line?
So because it's curved. The surface of the Earth is curved.
As if the color coordination didn't already give it away. I'll go ahead and explain this for the people. Are they all
parallel now?
Yes, they're parallel. So with this, here we have Alice, Texas, Bush Springs, Oklahoma, Hutchinson, Kansas, blah, blah, blah. So I plot these same elevation angles on a globe, and I get no contradictory answers. But if I plot these same exact angles on a flat Earth, as to use your own words, Bev, it looks like an absolute mess.
Yeah, I mean,
and I would like to know why you believe that is.
I don't believe it. I believe that's a mess because you drew it and you made it a fucking mess.
So you don't believe we would get these measurements in reality?
What measurements?
the elevation angle of the northern
distance
celestial pole
across the straight line, the horizontal distances between them.
Yeah, so the elevation angle, you don't believe that if I was, like, for example, in Alice, Texas, I wouldn't get 27.75 degrees, or in Walhalla, I wouldn't get 48.9 degrees.
I wouldn't know. Like, you're obviously the angle to the light expert. But you seem to have got a load of parallel lines.
It takes an expert to use an equatorial telescope mount, but I'll take the compliment nonetheless.
I've had one. So
can you show us where a horizontal is on that?
Go back to the sphere
on that other one.
Rez, go back to the sphere.
Go to the other one.
Okay.
All right. So
funny one.
At the North Pole, Polaris is going to be directly overhead, right?
Yep.
You don't have a red line there, but can you put a red line there, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Just it's on the y-axis.
So the on the y-axis from the origin, you have another red line. All those lines are parallel because Polaris is far, far away, and the Oxley explains.
Parallel.
Yeah, they're all parallel. Means that the light comes in parallel to the ground.
Didn't you say that parallels only exist in Euclidean, and you said that doesn't exist?
We're looking at the graph here. That graph is clearly going to be Euclidean geometry, correct? It's Cartesian. Do you know what Cartesian means?
Yeah, I know what parallel is. Only Euclidean.
What's Cartesian?
Remember?
No, what's Cartesian?
Everybody remember that. Steve says.
Bev, what's a Cartesian graph?
It's the XYZ.
Okay. Well, no, there's no necessarily. Well, there's no Z on here, but sure. XY.
They're all perpendicular to each other, aren't they?
Those lines are.
This is the XY graph.
Those lines are parallel, correct? Those lines are
horizontal.
On the graph. Okay.
Horizontals and verticals on that graph.
The green line,
the X and Y, they're all parallel.
Bev, follow along. The green line, that green line, you agree would be curved, correct?
It looks like a circle, yeah.
Okay, so that curvature represents something. What that represents is the surface of the Earth. Would you agree? Is that what the surface of the Earth looks like? A curve like that? If that's going to
green.
Yes.
I can confirm, Steve, that I made this to scale.
Even better.
I made it exactly to scale. It has the
same exact scale. You made a circle to scale. Does it relate to pi?
He made the circle to scale with reference to the points on the surface of that. In other words, the distance between the cities would be equivalent to scale as if they were really on the Earth. That's what scale means.
Everything, the spacing between the cities and the spacing between the group of cities and the North Pole, exactly the scale.
You know the horizontals on that. Where would you put a horizontal on that, considering that one of the axes is already horizontal?
What's the furthest point city away? I can't see it.
The furthest one way down here is going to be Alice, Texas.
Okay, Alice, Texas. In order to get from Alice, Texas to the North Pole, if you went in a straight line, what would happen? And literally a straight line with reference to your diagram there, Bev. Where would you be traveling? No, straight line, like literally straight line. Yeah. That's called a chord.
You go horizontal and then vertical, wouldn't you? Or the slope.
So would you be traveling?
That's how you measure it.
It's called a
slope,
chord.
Isn't it? The elevation is because all of the horizontals are
slope
parallel.
is a change and a rise over run. But you have a chord between Alice, Texas, and the North Pole that intersects on the surface of the sphere at 2 points. That's okay. It's not tangent, right? It's two intersection points. So those two intersection points would have a straight line between them. That's the shortest distance. But in order to get there, you would have to go through the planet Earth. Do you agree with that?
That's just a circle, Steve.
It's representing.
That's not a planet.
Bev, the circle.
It's on graph paper, Steve. Come on, let's get real.
I got this.
Stop being intellectually dishonest, dude. You know this is a fucking diagram representing
the circle
something.
Represents the.
It's a circle.
Bev.
Yeah, it's a circle that represents
graph paper.
Bev, let me get this out. The circle represents the surface of a three-dimensional object. Everything in the middle of
a circle. It's just a circle.
Let me finish. Everything in that circle, everything below the origin, that's in the interior of that circle, is a representation of the surface of a three-dimensional sphere. That's just literally what a circle is the hypersurface of a sphere. That's really what a circle is. You see
exactly what he's doing here. This is clear intellectual dishonesty.
I don't think he understands anything about geometry. Like literally nothing.
So Bev, since
it's a circle, come on, Steve.
Bev, I'm going to respect you more than you are respecting yourself. So since you are fully aware that this represents the surface of the Earth, and since you're fully aware that the elevation angle that we're looking at shows these angles right here, so 27.75 degrees in Alice, Texas is the altitude angle that we would be looking at in order to see the pole star. So now
draw your horizontals on it,
so
and then
the question
you can
I have is,
rebut
Bev,
my earlier
why
statement
does
that
it make
all
sense on
horizontals
this
are
model,
parallel.
but it doesn't make sense on this model? Can you answer that question for us?
And say on both of the graphs, all of the horizontals are actually parallel, apart from one that you put a circle on and tried to imagine that you drew angles.
So the question I have is,
can't have
Bev,
an
why
angle
does
to a
it
curve,
why
can you?
does it work on the
Reds.
round Earth model, but this same observation doesn't work on the flat Earth model? Can you please explain that to us?
An angle, as you well know, is the inclination of one straight line to another.
So once again, Bev,
line.
if we plot this observation on a globe, it makes sense. But when we plot it on a flat Earth, it doesn't make sense. Can you explain this to us, please?
Do you want to go proof for proof?
No,
I gave you an argument earlier on.
I want you to explain why I
is
seem
this
to be
your
having a
rebuttal?
contradiction with the flat Earth, but I'm not getting a contradiction with the globe.
I don't
Can you
care
please
about the
explain that
flat
for
Earth.
us?
I've told you, it's not flat.
Reds, we have a bigger issue on the table, I think, and a more important actual question. I think Jared actually really brings up a very, very significant question to be asked. I mean, we're talking about philosophy here. So
no, we're not talking about philosophy. Keep this in mind, Steve. We are not talking about philosophy. This is a textbook example of intellectual.
I agree. This is the philosophical question I'm going to pose to you. Jared states that Bev actually does seem to he does actually kind of know this. He's just being intellectually dishonest on purpose. So, what do you think? I mean, do you think Bev has some basic understanding of geometry and he's just lying to people, or do you think he's just incompetent? What is your view?
No, I think he understands the concepts in which I'm speaking. I think he's just lying.
Euclidean.
Okay. All right.
I've only made up a non-Euclidean geometry of my own.
Hang on, Bev. I'm going to weigh in on this myself.
That and Euclidean are the only ones I really understand.
Bev, for my observations, I think there's a combination to be had. One, I do not think you understand geometry, but I do think you understand second grade geometry. For the image that Red showed, if you pass second grade, you would understand that. So at that point, I do think you would have to be obfuscating and being deliberately dishonest by not understanding a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional sphere. So I have to go with Jared on this one. I think Jared's probably right.
It's just a circle.
I'm going to say that Bev is
circle represents
dishonest.
something.
Yeah, I think it's more intellectually dishonest and taking the piss more than anything else. This is not a fundamental misunderstanding of literally second grade geometry.
This is kind of my thinking here. My thinking here is that when Bev freely admitted that he was a flat earther, he was at
I've never done that.
Steve,
that's a blatant lie.
I already muted him. Go ahead. You have to let him speak. So I'll mute you.
Thank you. I believe that when Bev originally called himself a flat earther, he was proud to do so. I truly believe that he was proud to do so. But while engaged in this discussion, while engaged in this debate, he kept getting defeated when he would argue against a globe and while he was supporting the flat earth. Because as anyone who's been engaged in this debate for as long as I have will know, there actually is no argument for the flat earth. There is no model for the flat earth. You can't make any useful predictions with any flat earth model. And Bev is fully aware that the flat earth model renders a substantial amount of contradictions that has no solution. And even if you brute forced one solution to one problem, you would introduce another. For example, they brute forced a flatter solution for the Eratosthenes observation by placing the sun small and local, only to introduce another problem when it came to the sun's angular size. I just made a video on that. Watch it, please. So with him understanding that there actually is no saving the flat earth while having an intellectually honest discussion, what he is trying to do is define flat earth into existence, meaning by you using the words horizontal, level, vertical, this type of shit, by you using those words, you unintentionally admit to the flat earth because of the definitions that he superimposes on these words, not knowing that there actually is context that we use to these words. Like, for example, horizontal. Horizontal means parallel to the plane of the horizon. Now, Bev would want you to believe plane means flat, as we already demonstrated earlier in this. He kind of said the quiet part out loud and admitted to being a flat earth when we were discussing the definition of a plane there, but I digress. Moving on. The horizon at human scale can be considered a plane because you have to travel 70 miles roughly for a single degree of change. So if you're standing on the shoreline and you can only see 5.2 miles of the horizon with a 120 degree field of view, that means you would only really be seeing 0.07 degrees. It's hardly anything. So even though we know for a fact that there is a slight curve to the horizon, it's so subtle that we can just call it a plane without doing damage to our epistemology. Level is a surface that is exactly 90 degrees to the pole of gravity, or a surface that is congruent to another surface, meaning that the rubber on the tire is level with the rim that it is on. Otherwise, your tire would be fucked.
All right,
I can use level
so I'm gonna
or
give,
tire.
I'm gonna give
I
him.
can use horizontal
I'm gonna give,
and not have any damage to our epistemology.
All right, so Bev, so I'm gonna give Bev 2 minutes. I'm gonna silence you, Reds, for 2 minutes. Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna give him 2 minutes after I'm done speaking. But here's raises the problem. If we agree that he's just patrolling and being a Poe, then he probably does believe the Earth is actually sphere. It is round. It is just like all the globe people are telling him, and he's just taking the piss, which means he's not actually a flat earther. So the poll would be wrong, right? Reds? I mean, because he's not if he's really lying to people and just being dishonest, he's not a true flat earther. He's just pretending to be because whatever reasons. But
history would deem otherwise. I have no evidence to show that he knows that the Earth is round. I have evidence, however, to show that he believes that the Earth is flat.
All right, so okay, I accept this. So going by what his own words have been, according to him, he is a flat earther, but you can't say one way or another.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
I can say.
Are you going to give me the 2 minutes, or are you just going to carry on?
I want to mute you and let us, because I don't like being interrupted. I think we've got that down. So I will give you 2 full minutes, just like I did Reds. I give you my word. But I just want to get this point across. According to what he's saying, he's a flat earther. Whether he actually is or one or not is irrelevant. Is that what you're saying? Because I agree with that. I think it's irrelevant. He's just Poe.
Right. Yeah, I would say.
I would say where he's coming from. So let me give him 2 full minutes, and I'm gonna mute you. Okay, Reds.
That's fine. Do you want an answer to that question?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
that just
yeah.
Okay, I'll be very, very quick. I believe that he is indeed a flat earther. It's just that he realized there's no actual arguments for the flat earth, so he has to argue semantics.
Okay. So at that point, he does believe the Earth is flat, and he's still being trolling and dishonest.
Yes, correct. It could be both.
Yeah,
and like, why not both?
Why not both? Okay, Bev, you have the floor for exactly 2.5 minutes. I'll give you, because that's basically what he had. Timing begins now, and I'm going to mute Reds. There he goes. He's muted.
Okay. Thank you very much. As everybody knows, and everybody has known, and everybody that knows me, I've never been a flat earther. I'm not a flat earther, and I can never be a flat earther because I have a proof that the Earth is not flat. I do actually have a qualification in surveying, so I have actually practically measured that the Earth is not flat. So I know that. I thank you for letting me come on tonight, because you allowed me to point out that all horizontals being parallel to the plane of the horizon means that all horizontals are parallel to each other. That's a statement that requires a black swan type answer to it to show a horizontal that isn't parallel to another horizontal or parallel to the plane of the horizon, which is impossible. So I know, and I can understand why you like to think that I am a flat earther, but I'm not. And please don't take these arguments that I'm bringing, very simple arguments, as flat earth arguments, because they're not. They're from reality. So Please don't take it as a flat earther. I'm not a flat earther. Never have been. Never will be. Thank you very much.
All right. So I have one last question for Bev. Bev, if I start walking and I continue walking, I keep going in the same direction, right? I just keep walking and I keep walking. Assume I can walk as long as I want to walk and there's no obstructions or nothing. Where am I going to end up?
Walking straight.
Walking along the surface of the earth, because I have no other choice. I can't go through the earth. So walking along the surface of the earth, and I stay on the same longitude or same latitude. Same longitude, but same latitude but different longitude. So I'm just walking straight, on the surface of the earth. Where am I going to end up? Will I keep walking forever, or will I end up where I began?
Do you want to come on a canal? I've got a canal near me.
Just answer the question.
27 miles long.
No.
Let's get on the canal and in a canoe.
The question, Bev,
and we'll both go paddling down the canoe, and then ask me that.
That's not the question.
Elevation changes.
Bev, if I continue walking, regardless of
horizontal plane,
regardless of elevation changes, if I continue walking, am I going to walk forever? Am I going to fall off something, or will I return where I start? Those are only the three options. Which one do you pick?
Come on the canal with it.
I'm going to mute you until you answer the question, because I don't play this like Reds. I don't want to have a non-answer to a question. Here are your options, because they're the only three options that are possible. 1, infinite. You keep on walking. 2, you could, I guess you can hit a wall. We'll go with that one too. So you hit something. 3, you end up where you started. Okay, so basically you continue on forever, hit a wall, or end up where you started. I don't think there's any other options. If somebody else
fall off the edge.
Or fall off the fall off the edge. We'll go with those 4 options. Hit a wall, fall off the edge, walk forever, or you end up where you started. Those are your 4 options. Which one do you pick? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Here you go.
I'll go with epohe.
All right. Goodbye. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Bev. He obviously cannot answer that.
No, because as I said previously,
that answers my question. He's dishonest.
Yeah. Well, as I said, he is a flat earther, 100%.
Yeah.
When he says that his arguments aren't flat earth arguments, he's full of shit.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree.
The reason why he won't answer that question is because it would directly expose him as a flat earther, and he wants to keep the facade going for the gullible idiots that he has fooled in his Discord.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which,
that's why I give
by the way,
I gave him a chance to answer multiple times, so it's not like, but I guess he doesn't know me very well. I don't play these little silly games. I answer direct questions.
Well, that's all he has. That's all he has. And to be clear, he's not trying to be honest here. He's, like I said, he's just trying to keep the people fooled in his Discord, which isn't his Discord, but he spams it anyway.
So who believes him? I mean, okay, that raises another question. If he's just being dishonest, which is clearly the case, what are these idiots that are believing him? Are they just trolling too, or are they that stupid? Because then that's the difficult part for me to wrap my head around. Are they that incompetent, or are they just trolling?
No, I don't. Some of them are trolling. I'm sure of it. But here's my honest opinion. They believe that this is a great way to prove the flat earth to anyone who's questioning it. They believe that this line of argumentation, that this approach is the best way forward for pushing the flat earth conspiracy.
I got you. Okay. I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah, because keep in mind, look at what Jeranism did. Look at what Bob Nodell did. Look at what that fucking Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole guy did. Whenever they try to bring actual evidence to the debate, they get absolutely reamed.
Right. So I think all they have left is hyperbole and empty rhetoric.
So basically all they have is playing dumb, pretending to not understand your question, even though you're being perfectly fucking clear. I mean, it's clear enough to the child what my fucking diagram represented, but it's going to be confusing to Bev, who's apparently so fucking intelligent that he's got multiple certifications to his name.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, I really was trying to follow along his argument, and what he's trying to do is basically say that changes in elevation, because there's topological changes, means that it's not smooth, it's not flat. In other words, because
he's not a flat earther. Right. Because mountains and hills exist.
Right, and that's dishonest. That's not when people talk about the flat Earth, they're talking about the overall shape of the Earth as being something that is non-curved, that has some kind of plane to it, whether it's infinite plane or if it's just, you know, somehow a two-dimensional plane with a little bit of thickness, which, by the way, they never tell you the thickness, right? They always say it's flat, but when you say, okay, well, how deep can you dig? They have no idea.
But that's the thing. The reason is obvious. They don't have a model. In fact, now they believe it's sinful to present a model. So this actually brings me back to the real highlight of my interaction with Bev, is that since I am fully aware that he is a flat earther and that he holds the flat earth belief, I was going to pay him $500 to just quote unquote pretend, air quotes, heavy air quotes here, pretend to be a flat earther. All he would have to do is adopt the position and make the best arguments he possibly could for that position. Similar to what we had on this show with Jeranism a few years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was a great show. And if we remember, Jeranism got his ass kicked on that show because I actually came with evidence.
Yeah, and I'm willing
while
to do that,
Jeranism came with absolute dog shit.
Bev comes with nothing. And by the way, I do want to thank Bev for joining. I mean, look, I never like to remove guests, but I do have a standing rule. If you start dicking around with me and not answering questions, I'm not Reds. We're different people here, okay? I ask questions. I'll ask it twice, and if I'm really, really, really in a good mood, I might try a third time. But if you deliberately try to obfuscate and do not directly answer, you go bye-bye. That's the rule I've had on this show for how long, Reds? It's nothing specific to flat earthers or anything else.
I don't
I'm pretty
remember.
well intolerant of people not answering direct questions. I always have that on all my channels.
I don't remember what channel it was on. Probably MC Tune.
I'll kick you off if you don't answer some questions. I don't care.
But anyway, there was. I gotta find the episode again. I don't know where it came from, but if memory serves me correct, he got cornered hard on a yes or no question. Yes or no. That's it. There was no other option.
Yeah.
And his response to the yes or no question after a long ass pause was level. That's literally what it comes down to. He's not willing to answer questions that will firmly place him in a certain camp.
That's obvious.
He wants to have what I'm calling brute force ambiguity, where he's going to hide the fact that his beliefs are absolutely batshit crazy and don't make sense with actual reality and observations done in that reality. He wants to hide that shit so that he can lure people in, baffle them with bullshit, and slowly drive them towards the flat earth conspiracy.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Let me note something in the chat that I find of interest. Jared, you want to join us? Or anybody else want to join us? If I know you are, you're welcome to come in. The link is pinned. We'll go on for another 20 minutes if we can at most. I do end these at between 90 minutes and 2 hours. But Super Users James, I think his name's, he actually makes a really good point. He says there is no winner or loser here because there's no debate. This is for entertainment purposes, and idiots take it seriously. I think that's perfect. I could not agree with him more. There's no winner here or loser because there's no debate. He had nothing to bring to the table. It's just for entertainment because, you know, we like to, you know, expose people's dishonesty and the fact that they're just inept. But there was no debate. I mean, that's clear. So yeah, it is for entertainment purposes. I think that's spot on. Jared, what say you?
You really need to listen to me more when I tell you how people are.
I said you're right. I agreed with you. You like when I agree with you.
Also, Steve, I'm gonna screen share something real quick. I just wanna read it. This was a tweet that I had put out that Bev himself actually screenshot himself. So I said this. So it says, and I do fucking quote, let me make this very clear, Bev. This will not be a debate. The reason is because you don't have the mental capacity to debate. My goal is to show exactly why. One reason is your argument rests on word salad and ignorance of colloquial usage of certain words you love so much.
I love the scare quotes. He purposely puts scare quotes on argument for that very reason because he didn't have an argument, right? That's
the thing. It's like I fucking called it. Yeah, it's like, absolutely. Hey, hang on. Jared, do you hear that?
Was that the sound of Reds being right?
No, Jared. The sound?
The sound of silence?
No. Like the actual sound.
We can't hear anything.
No.
Okay, no. As in, no. Pick up the phone because I fucking called it. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so funny that flat earthers still think there's a debate to be had, and that's again, this is all for entertainment purposes. I don't take any of them seriously by any stretch of imagination. There's not a single flat earther I can take seriously. It's just not.
Again, if we remember back to the Jeranism days, and 82 was actually bringing this up on Twitter before a few months ago, where Jeranism had an understanding of what to expect. You're going to have to present evidence for your model. And he couldn't fucking do it, even though he had days, if not weeks.
He even admitted he didn't have a model. That was the end of the beginning of the end when Jeranism actually admitted he had no model that worked. He
had no model, and that's the thing. And he got his ass slammed by other flat earthers for saying that shit, because the very moment you say you don't have a model, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're
so now the new way of going about it, I believe that debate really reshaped this landscape. I believe that now they consider it a sin to say that you even have a model in the first place. Now, instead of calling themselves flat earthers, they're just globe skeptics or some bullshit like that.
Exactly.
Or they tried to force so much ambiguity into their position that they end up to the point where Bev is spouting word salad in the hopes that you will naturally, with this bullshit argumentation, find the flat earth.
Well, and there's certain people that probably don't know the basics, and so they will be, oh my god, this guy's so smart. He's using all these big words that sound impressive, and he must know what he's
no
talking
different
about.
than talking to Sci 10. I will admit, for an average person that isn't familiar with the type of bullshit that Sci 10 engages in, he will trip a motherfucker up.
Oh yeah, dude, I know this firsthand because I'm still friends with Sci. If you're not prepared in that genre to go against somebody like Sci 10, you're going to get your ass handed to you. But I got to tell you, the people that do prepare, you're golden. I mean, one of my favorite debates of all time, and I hate to say it, but I'll give credit where credit is due. But Matt Dillahunty's debate with Sci 10 was perfect. It was amazing.
There's something both of you need to remember though.
Yeah.
When comparing someone of the capacity of Beverly to Sci 10, Sci 10 is at least honest about his beliefs and his position.
He really does believe it. Yeah, I will tell you, and I will bet anything about it. I've had enough discussions with Sci both on air and off air. He really does believe what he believes. I mean, this is not. He does not. It's not an act with him. I'm absolutely convinced he actually does believe it. Yes.
But here's the level at which, there's me using that word again. Level. Imagine that. But here's the level in which we're talking. The reason why Sci 10 got his ass handed to him in that debate is because Matt Dillahunty was prepared to the point where he had a pre-written rebuttal.
Yeah, he was well prepared. That's one of my favorite debates of all time. It really is.
It really is. I think he's a jackass, but you know,
but
you know what? He was good on that debate. He was good.
Yeah, and Matt on other things I may not agree with him on, but when he does something of that nature and is that good, I'm going to call it as that good. I'm going to say, look, yeah, Matt, that was, I swear to God, one of my favorite. That and the my other favorite debate of all time was the debate with the Catholic Church. Is the church a force of good? With Hugh Lawrence, who was it?
Christopher Hitchens.
It was Christopher Hitchens and what's Hitchens? Wasn't it Hugh Laureate and Stephen? Who was it?
There was many debates similar to it, but basically it all comes down to this: if you are not prepared with Sci 10, you will get your ass handed to you. He will trip your ass up. Now, the way that we were describing it all the way back in 2016 is, for a fact he's full of shit, but you don't know how. So it's equivalent to walking into a room, a dark room, no lights, and saying, okay, there's definitely a dead body here. I just don't know where yet, but I'm going to find that son of a bitch. And it's the same story here. Once you know what Bev is actually doing, his dishonesty becomes so fucking transparent. It's embarrassing.
I think that's where the enjoyment comes to kind of like expose these people. Is that exactly like you said? You know they're full of shit, but what shit are you running into? What is it that you're gonna be exposed to where you go, what? No, wait, what?
Yeah, there's different types. So you could have the nutty shit, the corny shit, the liquid shit, the spinal tap shit,
the liquid shit,
the ghost shit, the chili pepper shit. There's many different types of shit. You just need to find out what shit you're dealing with and what's the best way to attack said shit.
Well, when he said that he thinks the reality is Euclidean, I'm like, okay, obviously that's just. Yeah.
And Steve, at that point, I really hoped you were paying a little bit more attention to chat, because I would have loved to hear his response to one of you two asking him, really? Reality is Euclidean? Can you please point to some professional that's actually accredited in a relevant field that says this?
Because he said that, what about your live chat? I'm like, my live chat's not stupid. I don't know any single one of them would think that I'm wrong on that. Not one. If somebody thinks the universe is Euclidean, I like to have a word with them. I mean, that's just weird. That's just basic. I mean, ever since Einstein, we know that's not the case.
But also keep this in mind. The typical talking points for flat earthers is to deny Einstein, deny space, deny NASA, deny that the earth is fucking round to fucking begin with. Deny everything. Just deny. And essentially what it came down to is this. Bev, throughout his history of being a flat earther, has been defeated in this realm so many times over that he's been reduced to what we saw this evening, which is arguing word salad, arguing the definitions of level and horizontal and parallel and bullshit like that. That's literally all he has left, because if he were to actually bring evidence to the discussion, it would get torn to shreds. And that is why he didn't want to accept the debate, even though, Steve, I was going to give him $500 to do it. Even with $500 on the table, and let me make this clear, that $500 would have been his regardless of the outcome of the debate. He just had to complete it.
As long as he didn't violate any of the rules.
Yeah, as long as he didn't violate any of the rules. If he actually gave it a good go and that kind of shit, he would have been guaranteed the $500, win, lose, or draw.
That's what I'm saying.
But he couldn't bring himself.
He has to bring evidence for the debate, and that's why this was not a debate. This was just a exhibition. Correct. I mean, just of how to sniff out shit. This was a shit sniffing show.
So needless to say, even though there was a damn good reason to engage in this debate, I mean, $500 for an hour and a half of your time, 2 hours at the most, tops. Jesus fucking Christ, where are these fucking deals? So, yeah, I offered that deal to him, and he wouldn't do it. Yeah. What does that say about his confidence in his position?
And by the way, he was over talking everybody. I had to tell him to stop numerous times, but he did get his final word in. I mean, he said thank you, and that was his final word. And I asked him a question. I wanted a simple answer.
He's gonna bitch, moan, and complain.
He was done, but he was done. He said thank you, and that was the end of his time.
That I did the same thing in my stream with him, where he basically said, "Look, instead of debating me, why don't you just debate Slice Bar King?" I'm like, okay, fine then. Bye. Click. So that was fun. But the end result, or I guess the ultimate conclusion, is the same. Through Bev's own admission in this stream, he is a flat earther. And to make it easy, with your permission, Steve, I would like to clip that section of video and put it on my channel. That way I have something to reference.
Knock yourself out.
Every single fucking time he's on Twitter saying that he's not a flat earther, I can just post that link and show that through his own explanation and by his own admission, he believes that the earth is flat because of the type of measurements that you would be able to see in reality and what that ultimately means for the shape of the earth.
And I agree. The wording he used, the way to describe his position was that of a flat earther. Yes.
Yep. Exactly.
Balanced Truth has 8 minutes to come join you if he wishes to explain to you why you don't have an argument, although it's called All of Actual Reality and Science and all these different courses that most of us have taken. And it's so funny. It's like Rez has said numerous times he's willing to place a globe model on a flat Earth model to see which one more accurately represents observations. This is what he's been doing for God knows since I've known the guy. Actually before I've known him before he was into this. I've known him.
True story.
I know he was. Yeah. Do you want to tell? People might not even know that I've known you longer than people freaking think, man.
You knew me when before Jism did, before the flat Earth thing was even a thing. True story. The reason why we started hanging out is because you royally kicked my ass in a philosophical debate when I was trying to argue for theism.
That's true. That is.
It was an embarrassing time of my life.
People don't know a lot of shit though. That's like, and that's one of the reasons why we have such a strong bond is that we have history, strong freaking histories. My brother, man.
It was. Here's the thing. I was making an argument for the existence of God. Steve fucking tore me a new one and like blew my mind. And I was like,
now he hates philosophy because of that. It's PTSD.
Now it's come down to, I actually don't have a good reason for believing in God. Fuck this Steve guy.
I know.
Who the fuck is he? So I just started talking to him a lot more. But anyway, now you became the all-time greatest flat Earth debunker on YouTube. Yeah, thanks for that, you fucking piece of shit. Anyway, so when it came down to it, just getting back on topic here.
Yeah, somebody just showed up here. I got to add them 1 sec.
Yeah, when it came down to it, Bev admitted this evening that he is a flat earther. So with that being said, I'm going to clip that section of video. I'm going to compile it. I'll put it on my channel, and that way it can be referenced whenever people fucking want.
Awesome.
So that will be my public duty for the evening, I fucking guess. I don't know.
Awesome. Hey, Amanda, do you want to add something real quick?
Oh, me? Oh, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda.
I'm sorry.
And then we'll get to you, Brandon. Amanda?
Oh.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just getting everything set up. So, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Set up for what, may I ask?
Just to come in and chat. That's all.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. All right, Brandon. What say you? Do you want to weigh in whether you think Bev is actually a flat earther or Poe or both? I think he's both. I think he really does. I think honestly, Red's nailed it. I think Bev's somebody who was a flat earther or still is a flat earther, but he knows he has no good argument for it. He doesn't understand this stuff. I may agree or disagree with Jared on that. I think he fundamentally is stupid, but I think he doesn't understand it, and still because of that, he still thinks the Earth is flat, but he has no way of articulating it.
Let me clarify that a little bit.
Okay.
Bev is like that junior nuke that you don't want touching the reactor controls because they know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, we know those kinds. Yeah, we know. It's like step away from the valve. Step away. Step away. Don't push that button.
And that's where myself and Brenda in the chat were pointing out every time that you guys would bring up something and be like, "Oh, I've never heard of that." Bullshit, Bev, you're lying, because I know at least half a dozen people who have talked to you about those topics at length.
And that was really telling, by the way, Jared, because he's been in the discussions for a while. And I'm sorry, but if you start talking about Euclidean stuff like that, and you've been in the discussions, have you never heard of these terms before that I've talked about, like parallel transport or spherical defect or spherical, a triangle? I just don't believe them. There's no way he hasn't heard those terms before. Because anybody who knows about these topics would be bringing it up to him just like I did. And it's like, you don't have to have that advanced math to do it. That's not that high a math.
Steve, why do you think I said, you know what, Bev, I'm going to have more respect for you than you do? You know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I think
Stop bullshitting people. I mean, like you know that you can have a representation of the curvature of the Earth on a fucking graphing program. This isn't a difficult concept to understand.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Obviously, that was representing the surface of the Earth. That's where it was like.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking obvious. That and to claim otherwise is basically. I mean, he's basically insulting his own intelligence there. Which okay, fine, more power to him, I guess. But
it says all that you didn't know about.
That's
him,
a weird hill to die on.
It just says that that's not the kind of person he wants to spend too much time on, other than for entertainment purposes.
What I noticed is that Bev, because at first I thought he was serious, or first I thought he was a she, but that's a different story. But
I thought he was Australian at first. I realized he was a UK.
please don't insult us.
I'm sorry. I take. Please don't start war with my country. Okay, I meant no offense.
We have to deal with Scotty. Let us have our own issues. But what I found about Bev is I started paying attention because I'm a psychology geek, and I found just as he was being led to give actual information, he backpedaled really quick to being a knob. So he either went to the Dell and Gav School of Education.
Oh God, I remember them.
Yeah, remember that?
Oh,
oh, he
hate me. That guy wanted to beat me up, like literally beat me up.
Let's be honest, they hate themselves, so no.
That guy was on roid rage. Do you remember that? Did you watch that episode, Amanda?
Yeah, I was actually been binging. That's how I discovered you guys.
Oh, that brings back memories.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I'm not traumatized. It's just that dude was scary, man.
Yeah, but as it was starting to give a little bit of information and then started to backpedal, I'm thinking, you're just trolling. You're just doing this to either say that you've battled against Red or that you're just wanting to make fun. You actually, just have some honesty about your go away. And,
I think you nailed it. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I literally thought the exact same thing. I'm like, look, this person is clearly just, every time he would get to a place where we're talking about what Reg was trying to convey, the actual concepts, things that people would learn to go investigate these topics, which he has obviously been exposed to, and he would do exactly what you just said. He would go into some kind of negative rhetoric. He would just do obfuscation. That to me is a sign of a dishonest interlocutor, and I've been around a very long time. I can spot them very easily. You obviously can spot them, Amanda. Reds, clearly. All of us would sit there and go, yeah, this person is no longer even trying to be the facade of having an actual dialogue on something, right?
Yeah, Bev is extremely dishonest. One example I can think of is he was having a debate with Craig Flat Earth, and he was showing him the blink test. And instead of actually engaging with the picture, he picked out one little detail and fucking nagged about that for like an hour.
And that's something I see with a lot of people. When I have, all of my arguments, they'll go and they'll say, well, how about this little thing over here that has nothing to do with the main point, right?
Yeah. Hang on, is that a picture that you're showing me? Yes, this is a picture of the blink test. But what is a sensor? How does a sensor work? Does a sensor work with horizontals and parallels?
Yeah, it was a sequel he was nagging on.
It's literally it will always come back to that. Basically, don't answer the question. When you know that answering a question is going to reveal your actual position, just try to get the fuck around it, which is why if you give him a yes or no question, he will try to get around it, or he may do what's, Steve gave him, for perfect example is the very last question that Steve gave him. If I were on the surface of the earth and I were to keep walking in one direction and just kept walking in that direction, would I fall off the edge? Would I keep walking forever? Would I eventually arrive back where I fucking started? Would I hit a fucking wall? What would happen? And Bev could not answer that question, because if he did, that would be saying the quiet part out loud, which he did once. We were able to get one audio clip, and I will be clipping that. So yeah. He said the quiet part out loud once, and I will be clipping that.
Yeah, it was at that exact moment that you heard his brain cell implode into a supernova.
Yeah, and that's why did you notice that I literally waited to the very end?
Yeah, you did, and that was
because that was, to me, it's a question that would really determine the actual kind of position, get to the core of it. I like to be very concise. I like to break through to the very basic, the core stuff, right? And obviously Red does a great job in explaining it. He knows the topic inside and out. But to get to the very core of it, that's when you realize, get to the point where you say, look, Bev, this is make or break. Either just tell us what you only have how many options here, and he couldn't do it, and that was, to me, you're just done. Anyways, is this Brenda? Like Brenda?
Yeah. Yes, this is me.
Hey, wow, it's been a long time.
Hey. It's been a long time. A lot of water under the bridge.
Yeah, and that's all good. That's all good. How's your brain, though? Are you okay, like, listening to that?
I've encountered him before, and I have scars.
Traumatic experience?
However, there is one good thing that came out of this, and we've got recording of Red going do 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 do.
That was funny. I was actually laughing. Like seriously, I wasn't.
You gotta clip that.
I don't fake laugh. I was literally. I was enjoying
sometimes
that.
you just gotta break out the fucking crayons, and I'm going to apologize in advance, but
why?
Because I'm going to ask a question that's completely irrelevant, but this is just for my own ignorance. Your voice sounds very familiar. Have we spoken before?
Yes, that's Brenda.
Yes, this is Brenda.
From GDC.
Long time ago, Brenda.
Yes.
I don't know if I've spoken to you, Red, before. Maybe.
Have we? Because your voice sounds really familiar.
Brenda's been around a very, 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 very long time. There's a lot of water under the bridge.
To catch up with Steve. Go ahead.
I was actually there, and it was almost 4.5 years ago now.
Probably.
That's how long it's been.
That would probably be why.
To catch up with Steve, here in Minnesota, we have a program where seniors, and I qualify as a senior now,
Congrats.
can take. Well, I get to take classes at the University of Minnesota.
Oh, they pay for senior courses?
Non-degree seeking. So
oh shit, that's actually pretty cool actually though.
Would you like to guess how much I pay per credit? Full classes.
$10 a credit?
$10 a credit.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've seen similar things, and I think for like a non-degreed stuff where people just want to go educate, get edified and things of that nature, I would love that. It's kind of like auditing, but for $50 for a 5 credit or $30 for a 3 credit or whatever, plus cost of books, I assume.
Yeah.
It's still a hell of a deal. Yeah, no, it's great.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, because you get you get. Well, I mean, I started during the COVID, so it was all on Zoom, and God, I hate Zoom.
Yeah, I'd rather go and actually go in and sit in a course.
Yeah. So now that the restrictions are lifted,
What was your class? I mean, what classes were you taking?
This semester, I'm taking political theory and a religious studies course.
Nice.
Yeah, the political theory, I already know some of this, but we're going through Locke, Hobbes, Bentham, utility, Mills.
You're going to go to like contractualism and society. What do we owe society? And Locke was all into that.
And then the religious studies, I took a class last spring that was a survey course of religion, but this one is more about how religion functions in society. So it's more of it's a sort of sociological approach.
Well, let me ask you this before we get too off topic. Did you read my paper?
Yeah, I got a screenshot to show that'll get us back on topic.
One quick question. Did you read my paper?
I have not read your paper.
Go to Academia EDU and just search my name. But it's called I don't remember the name of my papers, but it was actually the top 1% of papers read on Academia EDU.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's a very popular paper.
Steve.
Yeah, go read it. Yeah.
Steve, we're going to test your reading abilities. Okay. I am now screen sharing. Can you please?
Oh, I didn't know there's gonna be a quiz here.
Yeah, there's going to be a fucking quiz. Now do me a favor and allow that screen share to punch through, and do us all a favor and read that tweet.
Okay, this is from Bev Try Thinking, January 22nd, 2019. Earth doesn't have an axis. It is observably flat and motionless. If it doesn't have an axis, well, even if it's flat, it still has they still have an axis. There's still axes, right? I mean, it's just X, Y, and Z and Z axes, as he would say. So, what does he mean by Earth doesn't have an axis? Even if it's flat, there's still going to be some kind of axes to it, right? Center rotation.
Yeah, but it's the second part of that tweet. I'm most
observably flat. Yeah, he's a flat earther. Shocker.
Yeah, it is observably flat and motionless. He has said this.
Yeah, motionless.
Many times. And
why did you say that before? I want to know more about the motionless portion.
I shared it before on my last stream, and here's what he said. He said that he was just joking.
No, that's not. No, that's not. No, that's his belief.
That's literally what he said. I shit you not. He said he was just joking. Jared.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he has nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And another one was when he thought he cornered somebody.
I did want to go back real quick. There was something before you.
This. real quick. Just real quick. And then we can...
Welcome to the flat Earth. I knew you'd come over. Yeah, no, he's definitely a flat earther. No, I absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
I was trying to think of something in the middle of the discussion when he started talking about paradoxes. There is something relating to that. I wanted to bring it up because I just find it fascinating. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Ever heard of the chronological projection conjecture? Probably not. Okay, so the chronological protection conjecture is basically a hypothesis posed by Stephen Hawking that the laws of physics beyond, I'm going to read it what it says, but laws of physics beyond those of standard general relativity prevent time travel on all but macroscopic scales. It's basically prevents paradoxes. So it was Stephen Hawking that actually came up with this principle that the universe presents itself in a way that it could not have actual paradoxes because there's a chronological protection conjecture, and it's like this group of people, society, or special aliens, or something that prevents from happening. Something in the universe is made that way where you can't have time travel, because time travel does create paradoxes. It's an inherent property of time travel. If you can go back
The
to the
grandfather
time,
paradox.
no, worse than that.
Actually,
Worse
Steve,
than that.
That's completely wrong. We all know that it is simply God's nature that prevents
Well, and
paradox.
that, you know what's so funny? Darth Dawkins would say that, right?
Of course he would.
That's literally what Darth would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, I'm gonna kind of jet
Right,
here, but
me
before
too.
I do, I didn't want to end my time on this show. Which, by the way, Steve, thank you so much for having me on again.
Thank you for joining.
I am going to make an offer to flat earthers that I believe is super fucking easy. Now, here is the dealio. There is a video game called Kerbal Space Program, and in this game, you get to, well, make your own space program. So here is a challenge to flat earthers. I will reimburse you for the cost of this video game if you don't have it already, and I will give you another $150 on top of that. Nah, fuck it. Let's just say $200. Let's say $200 on top of that. All you have to do, flat earthers, is come onto my channel and play the game, and then accomplish just one goal. Get into space under 200 kilometers in altitude and just stay there for an hour. We can chit chat. We can, shoot the shit, that kind of thing. But if you're able to get a spacecraft in that video game to stay in space for an hour, then you, sir, will have won $200.
That sounds like fun, actually. Dude, I could tell you this. Just getting to the moon in Kerbal Space Program took me about 4 hours with a PhD in astrophysics. Him and I did Kerbals live. And it took multiple tries. We didn't do it in a single try. It is hard. It could be done. And even though going into the further planets and some of the moons are nearly impossible. I mean, you really have to know a lot about physics to understand the forces involved. But even getting to the moon, if you should make it like 100.
I'm not going to
come on,
tell them to do slingshots, gravitational assists or anything like that. No, absolutely not. Basically, there's a reason why
But getting to the moon is hard on that game, is it not?
I am there's a reason why I'm phrasing it in the way that I am, and I'm making this challenge in the way that it is. So basically, if you come onto my channel and play Kerbal Space Program live, you will have to accomplish one goal. Get into space that's under 200 kilometers and stay there for an hour.
Okay,
that's it.
Fair. That's fair.
That is it. That is all you have to do. We won't have to debate the flat Earth. You won't have to back up your position.
But they
Just
can get in
literally
orbit, right?
come on my channel and play the game.
You allow them to get in orbit as long as they can stay. As long as they can stay
Orbits
up.
are fake. Orbits are fake.
Orbits are fake. Orbits are fake.
And gravity. Don't forget gravity. They love
Yeah,
it.
that was weird. He did. I didn't want to talk about gravity. Gravity seems to escape him. So
gravity is kryptonite to Flores. But anyway, so that's the challenge, flat earthers. Let me know if y'all are interested, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, I am going to GTFO.
Yeah, I'm going to end this as well. But before I do you remember the name of the stream that this actual video? Do you remember the name? It's called
the stream that the last time I talked to Bev.
No. The video that I'm streaming right now. I titled it "Flat Earther Bev Gets Leveled." Oh, what's that? Who's picking up the phone? Who called that? Oh, Anyways, guys, thanks for joining. Amanda, thanks for popping
guys.
on by. Brenda,
Yeah.
always a pleasure. Come on, seriously, like you said, water on the bridge. We want to drop by anytime we have a hangout.
Well,
more than
yeah.
welcome to.
So I've learned a lot since those days, and many opinions have actually changed.
It's all good.
But if I can get people to debate with me on your show, I
okay
would.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can find somebody, but they all want to stay in their own little enclaves.
Well, yeah, because one, they have the community support, the little like sycophants, but the bigger part is you come on. Have you ever seen Darth Dawkins go anywhere where he can't have full ability to just dominate the conversation?
Oh, Darth Dawkins. Okay, at that point I have to fuck off.
There
now.
are
Yeah.
There are few but far between, but there are examples of Darth in rooms where he does not have mods, and it doesn't go well.
It never goes well. Yeah.
Does not.
I do random hangouts now on my other channel, usually when I get home from work. So if you guys want to check that out on Steve McRae channel, I think the link should be in the video description. If not, I'll put it in there. But just find me on YouTube. But at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I'll just do random streams like the old days, kind of like Nadia's room, and we have fun.
Yeah. So if you there's some new flat earthers like Flatzoid. Have you ever heard of Flatzoid? He laughed.
I don't know.
He laughed.
I don't
He
know.
laughed.
The name sounds interesting. Flatzoid.
Oh man. You think Bev was stupid? Oh,
and there's more.
Well, so here's the wonderful difference between the two. Bev at least has some knowledge, so can be deemed as smart enough to be dangerous. Flatzoid is just outright freaking mentally inept, is the nicest way I can put it.
Wait, is he worse than Flat Earth Jesus?
Close.
Because he's mental, and I got an issue with that.
Yeah, so I say close because it does not seem to be due to a mental illness or defect.
Okay.
Wasn't Flat Earth Jesus Australian?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of yours. Sorry. we don't take that. We don't take him. All right. Yeah, let people know. Like I said, if you if you're up late or something like that, and it's a day off, and you want to come on my channel with one of those guys, just message me on Twitter or something like that. I'm cool. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this. This was fun. Thanks, Bev, for coming on. And my recap is basically, what I said before. Bev, look, I just don't think that you're honest. I don't think that you have any kind of argument whatsoever. I think you are a flat earther that just never realized that you're never going to get anywhere with it, and you just want to, for some reason, perpetuate nonsense because it makes you feel better about yourself or makes you feel like you're more intelligent or whatever the reasons being. But the reality is, it's not argumentative. There's no argument to be had. There's no debate to be had. The Earth is a sphere. It's not flat. It has never been flat. Will never be flat. And it's not something that we debate. It's just we discuss. But I don't want to have flat Earth debates because that gives them, it seems to give it a little bit more validity than it should, right? I mean, I may call them a debate here and there, but the reality is they're discussions just to expose the dishonesty of every single flat earther that I've ever ran across. And you know what, Jared, I'm gonna let you have the last word because you got some stuff you want to show for your channel. By all means, go ahead and do it. Then we'll go ahead and take us out and call it a night. And thanks to the audience. Thanks for the mods, and thanks for the people that subscribed. I really do appreciate it. Become a member.
Well, thank you for that, Steve. And for those who don't know, yes, you'll see me in chat as AT2 Productions. I do occasional sci-fi podcasts every now and then due to work schedule conflicts, and also the Veterans Hangout where we talk about anything and everything, and it gets rather interesting, which we're doing that guaranteed once a month, sometimes more. We actually just had a show this past week, so go take a look, have fun, and join the conversation. It's always a fun time.
Awesome. And Veterans Day is coming up.
A couple weeks.
Yep.
So, in the meantime, as we leave this show, I just have one question for everyone to ponder. How long before Bev comes out as a young Earth creationist pre-supper?
Oh, God. I'm going to be sick. Good night, all.